Chapter 0126. Several senior advisors frowned at the twisted rap, but didn't say anything. Killer B is the one who can perfectly control the power of 8 taels, and at the same time inherit the name of B, and his position in Cloud Shinobi Village is second only to Reikage. The two from Wooden Golem said solemnly, "Let's wait until Reikage arrives to discuss this matter." 9 Several senior advisors all looked sideways when they heard the words. What is the level of the matter, and we have to wait for Reikage to come to talk about it. At this time, a ruthless and burly man walked into the conference room resolutely, landed on the main seat, and sat on the chair creaking, as if he could not bear it and shattered. Secretary Mabai was standing aside. The man sitting in the Reikage seat looked at the two wooden golems, a flash of lightning flashed in his sharp eyes, and said in a loud voice, "What is it that requires you to use this level of emergency meeting?" See 4th Reikage present. The two take out that red scroll by Wooden Golem. Seeing the red scroll, all those who attended the meeting sank. This color alone is enough to illustrate the importance of this information. Since the end of the Third Ninja War, there has been no red scroll level thing for many years. The two of them were told by Wooden Golem about the information on the scroll, and said, "The above is all the content on the scroll." No one spoke at the conference table, only the sound of breathing of varying thicknesses remained. Everyone has a strong shock in their eyes, trying to digest this amazing news. 4th Hokage broke the silence, the lightning in his eyes brightened, and said solemnly, "How much credibility does this matter have?" According to the intelligence, it was the result of Aze's personal investigation, and Samui also saw the cracks in the sky above Konoha with his own eyes, and the credibility is very high. The two were cautiously spoken by Wooden Golem. You can gain power by reading comics. This kind of thing is too outrageous. Is there really a Konoha who has obtained the power of a tailed beast? The strength of that manga shop owner is simply unfathomable. In today's ninja world, there are few people who can take his finger. Looks like he's only 20 years old, doesn't he? Several senior consultants quickly reacted from their shock and exited one after another. In the first place, 4th Reikage folded his arms and said calmly, "It's true or false, as long as I go to Konoha and go to that comic shop to try it once. What? It's too risky. Reikage. Once something happens to the enemy's abdomen, the consequences will be disastrous." Several senior advisors exclaimed in shock. If the intelligence is true, then this comic shop will have the power to decide the fate of the ninja world. If I hadn't seen this with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. 35 4th Reikage said lightly, "That's the decision, Mabai, send me with a technique." Mabai knows 4th Reikage's temper. Once he has made a decision, no one can change it, he can only nod and say, "Yes." Several senior consultants could only sigh helplessly when they saw this. The shadow of a village goes to the hinterland of other countries, as long as it is a little careless, it will be irreversible. That is, 4th Reikage, a talented artist, can do such a crazy thing. However, the fastest way to go to Konoha is only Tian Shao technique. The Tian Shao technique is mainly used to deliver items. Once the creature is teleported, the creature will explode and die because it cannot withstand the terrifying pressure of the teleportation. Only 4th Reikage's body can resist the delivery of the sky-sending technique. Killer B, who was always silent, saw 4th Reikage leave, and suddenly reminded, "Be careful, but don't come back Kaonong Road, Bagayu Road." 4th Reikage's expression was cold and he snorted softly, "Who do you think I am, country of wind? Tsunagakur. That's the message we got." A sand shinobi Jainin finished reading the information in his hand, cold sweat dripping from his forehead, looked at 4th Kazekage who was in the first place, and said, "Lord Kazekage." 4th Kazekage glanced at everyone at the conference table with deep eyes, and said, "What do you think?" Because it was a highly confidential meeting, only Kaze, Granicho, and Ebis, who were Sand Shinobi's senior advisors, and several Sand Shinobi top Jainin participated in the meeting. Ebis said, "Although this may sound incredible, all evidence shows that this comic shop is really not simple." Granicho said, "If it's like the intelligence, the ninja world will definitely usher in an unprecedented change. This is turmoil, but it is also an opportunity. I have already proposed to Konoha that Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari will be led by Baki to Konoha for exchange and study, and then take the opportunity to inquire about the situation in Konoha." 4th Kazekage said, "Go with my summoning beast Wind Eagle to get to Konoha as quickly as possible." When he just learned the intelligence, he was no less shocked than them. In order to determine the truth and falsehood of the comic shop, he decided to send the most trustworthy person. In addition, he is also selfish. If that manga shop really read manga as the information stated, it would benefit from it. Sending his 3 children there would just be able to improve their strength. As for the safety of the 3 people, he was not worried at all. If Konoha didn't want to go to war with Sand Shinobi, he would definitely protect the 3 of them, so that they wouldn't have any problems in Konoha. 0, what? Let Gaara go. Baki was shocked when he heard the words, and hurriedly said, Lord Kazekage, Gaara's state is very unstable, if there is a problem in Konoha, it will be troublesome. Besides, aren't we planning to join forces with Orochimaru to deal with Konoha? I'm afraid this time. Don't worry about the plan with Orochimaru, and the most important thing for us at the moment is to find out the manga shop. Fourth Kazekage leaned forward slightly and said, this step is related to the future of our Sand Shinobi. 35 Everyone at the conference table couldn't help but stunned. A storm is about to engulf the ninja world. And at the center of this storm is a comic shop from Konoha. Shen Ye didn't know. Whether it is the other 4 ninja villages or Akatsuki, all forces have received news from the comic shop one after another. They were shocked by the existence of the comic shop, and they also understood what the appearance of the comic shop meant, and sent people to Konoha one after another. For a time, the comic shop became the most concerned about the top powerhouses in the ninja world. But Shen Ye wouldn't care even if he knew it, and would only be happy to see business come to his door. Now he's returning to the manga shop with a packaged ramen, and Ino's specially made dessert in the other hand. Shen Ye just entered the house. Ding ding ding, a slender figure ran downstairs at the fastest speed in an instant, and a hungry green light appeared in his eyes. Food, food, food. I smell the aroma of food. Door. Chapter 0127. Shen Ye looked at Anko, who smelled the delicious food and ran downstairs in only a tight fishnet suit, and chuckled, try the latest ramen from Yule. Yele ramen has a new style? 99 Anko opened the packing box curiously, was stunned when he saw the ramen, and said in surprise, this is the traditional French seafood ramen in the spirit of eating halberd. She can't remember anything else. But remember the food, it is definitely unforgettable. Not to mention the other world delicacies in Medicine King that she had never heard of before. That's right. 35 Shen Ye smiled. Wow. Little Shen Ye, I love you to death. Anko watched the ramen and swallowed, and couldn't wait to pick up a piece of ramen with chopsticks and put it in his mouth. Food entrance, full of medicinal effects. A voice that was enough to make any man 030 immediately flooded with the urge to do something. By the time Anko finished eating the traditional French seafood ramen, his face was flushed and sweaty. Shen Ye looked at the woman like this, shook his head helplessly, and could only carry her upstairs. However, Shen Ye just put Anko down. Anko wrapped his arms around Shen Ye, his cheeks were flushed, and he whispered in his ear, I haven't eaten that big sausage during the day 5 the next day. Shen Ye was awakened by a mysterious feeling. Opening his eyes, Anko was looking down. Seeing Shen Ye awake, Anko raised his head and said with a smile, I prepared breakfast for you, I'm afraid of the cold, so I told you to get up and eat. Shen Ye said, you haven't had breakfast yet. Wait for you to eat together. No, I'll eat fritters first, and I'll have soy milk later. Anko was taken aback. Then, it quickly became clear what it meant. I'm going on a mission today. 35 Anko, who was tossed twice in the morning, changed his clothes and said with a smile, don't miss me too much at night. Saying that, the woman lightly printed Shen Ye's cheek, smiled sweetly, and turned to leave. Finish breakfast, Shen Ye is open for business. The door is open. It's finally open. I'm here first, let me advance. 35 Yesterday's dragon-shaped monster is from Inuyasha, right? I want to read this manga. 35 I want to see that pirate with white hair that turns his whole body into smoke. To be honest, the old man of Sailor Moon has been staring at him for a long time. If anyone thinks that he has the strength to play with the old man to the end, the old man is willing to accompany him. As soon as the comic shop opened, people waiting at the entrance of the comic shop rushed over in an instant. They waited here before dawn, and truly experienced what it means to be like a year. When I finally waited for the comic shop to open, I was naturally excited. Shen Ye received the money one by one. Customers enter the store, and one person chooses a favorite cartoon to look at with relish. Seeing that all the people in front had entered, and it was up to him, Konohamaru hurriedly put away the PSP 4000, took out 20,000 taels of banknotes, and said proudly, "Boss, I'm here again. Because I have done a good job in dealing with the dragon bones, the old man specially rewarded me with 30,000 taels of pocket money. However, poor little Bai is still unable to move because of the use of secret skills." Shen Ye said with a smile, "This is because the use of the secret skill has caused too much damage to the emperor. It's alright, Xiaobi can recover after a while. Hey, today I must draw a super powerful reward." After paying the money, Konohamaru came to the bookshelf, glanced over several comics, and suddenly noticed Do Soul, Part 1, and said in surprise, "Fantasy theme? What theme is this?" Out of curiosity, Konohamaru picked up the Dopo manga and read it. At this time, Niji came over with an oversized package on his back. Seeing Niji, the other ninjas gritted their teeth, and even their faces changed color. "It's this kid, so I can't even use the trademark detonation charm now. When bee prices go up, no sweet dog is innocent. Is the Hyuga family great if they have money? I saw with my own eyes that he used a detonating charm to fight mosquitoes that day. When you didn't see him bombing his dad, the detonating talisman was really inhuman. Niji, I'm just being careful, what about you?" Niji coughed and walked into the comic shop, saying, "Boss, I want to read comics." "The second time, 10,000 taels." Shen Ye said. Niji put the 10,000 tael bill on the cash register, and went to the bookshelf to take the last copy of Storm, Part 1. Niji was quickly attracted by various martial arts with crazy settings. There are also a lot of fighting scenes in it, which made him surging with enthusiasm. And the other side sees the fighting spirit Konohamaru. "I can't stop being tempted by this tight rhythm of pretending to slap the face. More and more cool." I felt that there was a sentence stuck in my throat, 30 years of Hedong, 30 years of Hexi, don't bully the poor young people, and I didn't know who to yell at. Shen Ye looked at the system panel at this time, and the wave of passengers just opened the door in the morning met the conditions for drawing comics twice, smiled, and said to the system, "System, extract comics." The system deducts 20 people. Extract comics, under 1 person, Part 1. Under 1 person, Part 1, Zhang Hulan, under the guidance of his grandfather Zhang Xilan since childhood, practiced the origin of the Qi body, one of the 8 wonders, and became an alien. However, when Zhang Hulan was 7 years old, his grandfather was murdered and he was fostered by his father in an orphanage, and his father was never heard from again. When Zhang Hulan grew up, one day, she hurried home when she received the news that something happened to her grandfather's grave, and found that a woman claimed to be her sister who went to her grandfather's grave. He rushed to his grandfather's grave and saw that mysterious girl who claimed to be his sister was digging the grave. Extracted comics, One Punch Man 5.6. Saitama is just an ordinary office worker who is worried about finding a job all day long, but one day 3 years ago, he met a crabman who wanted to kill a child. Saitama recalled his dream of becoming a hero, and fought the crabman to save the child. Saitama regained his interest in becoming a hero and began to exercise continuously. The strength is getting stronger and stronger, and the hair is getting less and less. So, a low-key, lazy, bald-headed devil who is even keen on supermarket specials appeared. I got stronger and I got bald. Under 1 person, he was a popular country manga in his previous life. One Punch Man is a super popular Invincible fan. These 2 comics should soon become a hit in comic shops. Shen Ye looked at the 2 newly extracted comics, and the corner of his mouth raised a Radian 0128. Under 1 person mainly tells the story of the inhuman who has extraordinary power hidden in the city. As Zhang Hulan stepped into the circle of aliens, the dusty past decades ago gradually surfaced. And the most outstanding part of this comic is the character of the heroine Feng Bao Bao. Has a super high value, but is very sloppy and unscrupulous. The strength is very strong, but he likes the kitchen knife as a weapon, and likes to dig holes and bury people at every turn. He also often utters golden sentences with a blank expression. My treasure sister in society, Renmi Iluz. As for One Punch Man, this is definitely a bloody invincible manga that can make readers burn. The general comics are about how the protagonist grows up from a rookie, passes the test, and then defeats the final boss. But One Punch Man is different. The protagonist Saitama is invincible as soon as he appears, making the boss feel desperate and invincible. So far in the manga, there is no opponent who can make Saitama go all out. The Monster King Orokai, who is as strong as the Monster Association, was highlighted by the plot, and he was also killed by Saitama with an ordinary punch. The strength level of One Punch Man is, Wolf Tiger Ghost Dragon God, Bald. But don't think that since the protagonists are already invincible, there is nothing to watch. Quite the opposite. The author does a good job of laying the groundwork for each villain. 15 Weird and strong, hang and beat heroes from all walks of life. In the most desperate time, Saitama came on stage to kill the monster with one punch, and was angry that the monster couldn't even catch a punch himself. Upgraded the cool point to ultimate. Shen Ye put both comics on the shelf. Walking into the comic shop every day, seeing Niji who was looking at the situation intently, he said, "Hello, Niji, you are here too." Niji turned his head and said, Tian, you came so early. I won a very powerful reward last time, and I want to try my luck today." 35 Everyday laughed. She has been practicing hard after winning Yuki to control the scissors yesterday. Now he can control several kunai from tens of meters away, each of which is powerful enough to shoot through rocks. If it falls on the human body, the consequences can be imagined. Such a subtle way of manipulating the ninja tools, but she didn't dare to think about it. So she came to the comic shop again today to try and see if she could get any more good rewards. At this moment, a young man with a collar standing up to cover half of his face and wearing a small round sunglasses walked in and said, "Hello, Niji, Tian, you are here too." Niji was taken aback. "Who are you?" "Abarame Shino, Presence 1. I think you look familiar." Tian felt that the person in front of him was very familiar, but he just couldn't remember who it was, and said, "Wait, let me think about your name, your name." "What's your name?" "Abarame Shino, Presence 1. Shino said lukewarmly, "Sure enough, I'm the one that no one cares about." Niji and Tian showed embarrassed expressions. "You have been blocked by windbreaker and sunglasses all day long, and you have few words. Who can remember it?" Shino walked to the cashier and said, "Boss, I want to read this comic. The first time I watched 5,000 Taels, I could only read one book a day, and the price doubled every time after that." Shen Ye said, "It's 5,000 too." 35 Shino put the banknotes on the cashier and went to the bookshelf to pick out comics. There were only 2 new comics on the shelf at this point. Shino picked up One Punch Man Part 1 and said to himself, "The protagonist of this manga looks interesting, is he a monk?" 5 Shino took One Punch manga and went to read it. Tian was afraid that even the last one would be taken away by someone, so he hurriedly paid the money and took the comics, spit out his tongue playfully, and said to Shen Ye with a smile, "Boss, you must bless me for winning the lottery today." "Reward?" 5 Shen Ye smiled, "Okay. Is such a strong villain in the beginning? Isn't it? Can the protagonist survive?" Shino opened the One Punch manga, but the first episode shocked him. The blue vaccine man with 2 tentacles on his head hovered above the city, and with a wave of his hand, a burst of energy bombs fell. Pieces of buildings were turned into ruins under the energy bomb. Such terrifying destructive power is astounding. It is said that the beginning of the comic is all experience strange. Is this trademark a big boss? Then the camera turned, and the protagonist Saitama appeared. On the bright salted egg head, there is a face with a casual style. Shino couldn't think of what Saitama had to do to kill such a strong vaccine man. However, Shino soon saw a picture beyond imagination. One punch. Just one punch. The vaccine man who swept the city before was smashed to pieces. More fragile than paper. Shino was stunned. Is Saitama so strong? Next. What a giant, what a deep Poseidon, what an Ashura unicorn. Feel sorry. Nothing can be done with one punch. The bald cape goes on an expedition, and nothing grows in the strange world. Shino was completely attracted by the novel plot of the protagonist, a pair of salted fish, but invincible crushing. I can see that the tide of G is rising, the blood is boiling, and I can't stop at all. On the other hand, looking at one person every day, he was fascinated, and from time to time he made a giggling laughter. Feng Baobao's brain circuit is really not covered. It's obvious that she has a cute expression, but it's a set of words to talk about. Especially when Feng Baobao wore high heels to the Tianxia group, it was really aura. But seeing Feng Baobao's life experience, Tianation's eyes gradually became misty. Because he has no memory, because he is immortal, because he is confused about the world, he has suffered too much. But she still looks like that, she won't cry because of it, but it's more and more distressing. Konoha village entrance. A white long-haired man wearing the oil character forehead protector, carrying a scroll behind him, rubbed his hand on his chin, and smiled with a little nostalgia. I haven't returned to Mu 030 for many years, and I don't know where the village is. What is it now? Looking at this scene as it was in the past, it brought back memories from the bottom of my heart, and there was a trace of sadness in the man's eyes. Watching his best friend Orochimaru defect but unable to stop him. Disciple Namikaze Minato and his wife also sacrificed to seal 9 taels. Konoha's White Fang, whom he admired so much, eventually died in an inexplicable rumor. Today the scenery remains the same, but there are no people in the past. Jiraiya quickly smiled freely, walked into the village, and suddenly saw a lump of yellow and orange on the side of the road, wondering, where did such a big lump of poop come from? The poop beast suddenly turned its head and said angrily, "Who are you talking about?" Jiraiya was taken aback, "Live poop." The stool beast grabbed a lump of feces and threw it at Jiraiya, saying, "How can I fix it? I'm a stool beast, what is a live poop?" Jiraiya, poop, beast? I haven't come back for a few years, is Konoha's stool all sperm now? Entering the village, Jiraiya was completely stunned. Someone was riding on a dinosaur monster called Tyrannosaurus. Some people's bodies have been shattered into innumerable pieces, and they are still flying all over the sky, saying that they ate something called chop fruit. The most outrageous thing is that he saw Yamanaka Feng holding a large red gourd head in both hands, looking like he was unlovable, and muttering something from the southeast branch. If he wasn't sure that he remembered the right way, Jiraiya doubted whether it was Konoha or not. Chapter 0129. One Yamanaka Kiki bypassed Jiraiya on a Harley motorcycle, recognized the latter's identity, and said in surprise, "Are you Jiraiya-sama?" Jiraiya's eyes were suddenly attracted by the motorcycle under Yamanaka, and she asked in surprise, "What are you riding? What the hell happened to Konoha? Where do all these weird things come from?" Since Jiraiya-sama mentioned it. Seeing that Jiraiya noticed his motorcycle, Yamanaka raised a tsundere arc at the corner of his mouth, flicked his golden ponytail, shining dazzlingly in the sun, and then a motorcycle tail. "Duan. Jiraiya, which one are you playing?" Yamanaka Kiki was smashed by a motorcycle, but he still showed off, "This thing is called a motorcycle, how is it? It's very handsome." Jiraiya twitched the corners of her mouth and said, "Aren't you going to get up?" As soon as Yamanaka picked up the motorcycle, Jiraiya asked, "I saw a lot of strange things on the way back, what the hell is going on?" Yamanaka Hideo, Jiraiya-sama just came back and didn't know, but a manga shop has recently opened in the village, and you can get a random reward from the manga just by reading the manga. The ones you see are all from that comic shop. My motorcycle is also obtained from reading comics. Nani? Jiraiya's eyes widened in disbelief, is there such a thing? Yamanaka smiled and said, Jiraiya can go to that manga shop and try it out, I promise you won't be disappointed. Jiraiya rubbed her chin and said to herself, I didn't expect such an interesting thing, I'll go check it out later. Yamanaka got on the motorcycle again, raised his brows, and said, Lord Jiraiya, do you want me to take you for a while? With a black line on his forehead, Jiraiya hurriedly said, forget it, ride it yourself. Watching Yamanaka smushed away on a motorcycle, Jiraiya smiled, can you get this kind of reward that is unheard of in the ninja world by reading comics? Interesting. Jiraiya inquired about the location of the manga store and walked over there. But when I passed by Il Ramen, I couldn't move. Humo, from the ramen shop came a voice that evoked imagination. Jiraiya's heart skipped a beat, it's so loud in the daytime? Can Konoha open a custom shop now? Jiraiya looked in the direction of Ichiraku Ramen. The sound of harmony came from within. Outside the ramen shop, there was a long queue. All look hungry. Jiraiya asked a person at the end of the line, hey, what are you doing here in line? The man looked like you came from Mars, what are you talking about, of course it's cool. Jiraiya's eyes were rounded, and her nose was blowing steam, and she said excitedly, is this store so good? The man said, otherwise, why do you think I have such a long queue here? Hey, let me tell you, this store can make you fly. When you see the few next to you, you can't stand the twitching there. Jiraiya followed the direction of the man's finger, and sure enough, he saw a few people lying on the ground with groaning faces. So smart? Hehe, I really didn't come back in vain this time. When Jiraiya heard the words, she laughed slyly, and she made up her mind that she would also queue up to have a good time. After queuing for an hour, I finally got to myself. Jiraiya took her seat, excited. Bang! At this time, a bowl of traditional French seafood ramen was placed in front of him. He laughed and said, "So, Mr. Jiraiya, I haven't seen you for many years, come and try the new ramen from our shop." Jiraiya, isn't it said that it can make people fly in the air? Now my little Jiraiya is BG hard, can you show me this? Jiraiya coughed and hinted, "Cough, do you have that special service here?" Hearing this, he slapped his hands for a while, and then he smiled knowingly, "I understand. Hey, come on, I can't wait." Jiraiya smiled even brighter. Bang bang bang. Turning his hands, he placed chili oil, vinegar, sugar and salt in front of Jiraiya, saying, "It's very spicy, very sour, very sweet and very salty. You can make your own for what you want to eat." Jiraiya, I make up. Am I talking about this particular one? You are deceiving consumers. At this time, Jiraiya saw that the customers next to him were eating ramen with red faces and legs, and asked, "What are they? Ramen can eat this state?" Han smirked, "This is the traditional French seafood ramen from the comics of the spirit of eating halberds, and it is guaranteed to make you feel overvalued after eating it. This is also the reward that appeared in the comics of that comic shop." Startled, Jiraiya looked down at the bowl of ramen noodles in front of her with an attractive color. The aroma of the delicious food entered her nostrils like a devil, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and then took a bite. A dry heat gushed out from the depths of his body. Blushing, pinching legs, humming, spiritual explosion. Inside the comic shop. After reading the Fenjiun manga, Niji sighed softly, "I didn't expect the first part to end like this." He was admired by the turbulent martial arts world of Fenjiun. I am also fascinated by that peerless martial arts. Witnessing the gradual growth of the situation, the intertwining of grievances and grievances, until the final parting on the cliff, gave him an unspeakable complexity. At this time, System Information Refresh. Customer Hyuga Niji has finished reading Fenjiun Part 1 and obtained Kirin Arm. 30 years ago, the swordsmith Yu encountered a fire unicorn, good, who was in trouble, and stabbed the wound of the fire unicorn with a sword, and the blood of the unicorn fell on his arm. The power of the arm becomes invulnerable and infinite. Later, Yu gave Buletin Jingyan the unicorn arm. Buletin Jingyan used his unicorn arm to catch Broken Wave's Huolin's sword with his bare hands, which happened to help him open the Sanjiao entrance, completely awakening the power of the unicorn arm. A dazzling light fell, covering Niji. Niji felt an incomparably hot force suddenly enter his left arm. There is magma rolling and flowing in the left arm. Even Niji could not help but grit his teeth, cold sweat dripping from his forehead. Gradually, the burning pain dissipated. However, there was still a domineering and fiery force in his left arm. Niji looked at Shen Ye and said in shock, "Boss, shouldn't this be?" Shen Ye smiled. "That's right, unicorn arm." 35. Chapter 0130. Buletin Jingyan's unicorn arm? 99. Hearing this, Niji was surprised. Although the unicorn arm is flesh and blood, in terms of firmness, it is even comparable to a divine weapon. Even a divine weapon like Huo Linjian, which cuts iron like mud, can't hurt the unicorn arm in the slightest. And the unicorn arm is powerful. Hit an ordinary person, and one punch will break the person to pieces. Another point is that he uses the imitation card to unlock CE Ryugen continuously, that is, majoring in fire skills. With the unicorn arm and the fire skills of Ryugu and Seiya, the two complement each other, and the power is definitely better. Niji left excitedly, ready to find a place to test the unicorn arm. Before leaving, Niji said, "Bye boss. Bye every day." That. Niji looked at Shino. Shino looked at Niji. The eyes under the small round sunglasses were faintly excited. Niji nodded, "Well, bye." Shino, _table you forgot my name again. Draw your knife. At this time, Konohamaru read the Doppo manga, with an expression of desire and dissatisfaction on his face at a young age, and said, "Why did I get stuck in fulfilling the 3-year contract, it makes me so uncomfortable. 30 years of Hidong, 30 years of Hexi, Author, don't deceive me that the blade can't reach you. At the same time, system information refresh. Customer Sarutobi Konohamaru has finished reading Dopo Part 1 and obtained 030 Ring of Residential Soul. Ring of Resident Soul. This is an ordinary ring purchased by Xiao's mother inadvertently, but no one would have imagined that the soul body of Venerable Yakushi, who used to refine Yakushi medicine, was sleeping in the ring. Yao Lao, 9th grade Lien Yakushi, has the 11th bone spirit Lengguo on the Yuhuo ranking, and was persecuted because his disciple Han Tianfeng plotted to join forces with the Soul Hall, leaving only one soul body, which was hidden in the ring. This is the 3-year period of vindictive recovery that has just been absorbed by Xiao Yan. In addition, after system transformation, Yao Lao can convert the vindictive energy in the body to chakra. Old medicine. Seeing Konohamaru's reward, Shen Ye was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, Konohamaru actually took out Yao Lao, the Xiao Yan plug-in. You must know that Yao Lao was a powerhouse at the peak of Dozun in his heyday, and coupled with the cold fire of Bone Spirit, it was difficult to find an opponent in the same rank. However, Konohamaru drew Yao Lao at the beginning of the plot. Yao Lao at that time had only swallowed Xiao Yan's 3-year vindictiveness, barely reaching the point of manifesting his physique. As far as strength is concerned, it is not really strong. The key is the huge potential. Not to mention there is a strange thing like the Bone Spirit cold fire that burns mountains and refines the sea. A dazzling light fell from the void. Konohamaru with anticipation. I don't know what to reward myself for. Suddenly, the light dissipated. A quaint black ring appeared on Konohamaru's finger. Konohamaru looked at the unremarkable black ring in his hand for a moment, and asked, "Boss, what is the use of this ring?" Shen Ye smiled and said, "You try to call it and see how it reacts. Is it something like a lantern?" Konohamaru suddenly became interested, looked at the black ring, and said carefully, "The spirit of the ring." Seeing that there was no reaction, Konohamaru said again, "Miss Ring. O God of Rings, wandering in the galaxy. I, Sarutobi Konohamaru, call you here. I ask you, are you my God of Rings? 5 I'm a prostitute who wants to be the King of Rings. How about I find you a mother ring to mate with? BD. Can you give me some reaction?" 35 Seeing that even trying a few times didn't work, Konohamaru gritted his teeth and said, "If you don't answer me again, I'll throw it to you now. Throw it into scrap copper and rotten iron, and sell it by the pound." "Hee, you little doll, why are you so impatient?" A faint laugh sounded. Layers of ripple-like soul power rippled on the black ring, and an old man's soul body in a long robe and snow-white beard slowly emerged. The old man's figure is illusory, floating in the air, with a bit of immortal style. The customers in the comic shop were stunned. An old grandpa popped out of the ring? What is this unfolding? Really someone? Konohamaru was also taken aback by Yao Lao who came out of the ring. However, quickly wondered. Why does this old man look so familiar? BFFG, not only was Konohamaru stunned, Yao Lao looked at Konohamaru and frowned, puzzled. "I didn't feel the slightest bit of grudge from you, how did you wake me up?" "Fighting. Aren't you from the Xiao family? My surname is Sarutobi." 99 Sarutobi? This old man has been in the Dochi continent for hundreds of years and has never heard of the name Sarutobi. Where are you in Dochi continent? What Dochi continent? 35 Konohamaru said, "This is the land of fire, Konoha village." Konoha village. Yao Lao was completely dumbfounded. At this time, Konohamaru finally confirmed the identity of Yao Lao, his eyes lit up, and said, "You are Yao Lao, right? The old man in front of him is exactly the same as Yao Lao in the comics." And he remembered that Yao Lao also stayed in Xiao Yan's ring in Dopo. Could it be that his reward is Yao Lao? You actually know me. When Yao Lao heard the words, the indifferent look just now suddenly became fierce. He was chased by the traitor Han Tianfeng and the Soul Demon Temple, and Vice Admiral's own frail soul was hidden in a ring. Thinking, if I die, I will die. But if he is lucky enough to meet a fighter and swallow his vindictive energy, he will still have a chance to recover. But, how did this little doll who said he was from Konoha village surnamed Sarutobi know his identity? And there are quite a few people in this weird shop, all of whom have experienced battles, not ordinary people. It reminded him a lot in an instant, and his vigilance suddenly rose. Konohamaru said stunned, "I don't even know you. Number 2, what comics did I read?" "Comics?" Yao Lao frowned and said, what is a comic? Konohamaru said with a "you're not sick" expression, you are from a manga called Dopo. What a joke. Yao Lao blew his beard and stared, this old man is from the Dochi continent. You said that you have never heard of the comics. Konohamaru folded his arms and hummed, do you have a strange fire called the bone spirit cold fire? Yao Lao was surprised, but quickly said, there are not a few people who knew that I had this strange fire back then. Konohamaru said, then do you know how to devour a wave ruler? Yao Lao's heart sank. Then are you going to collapse? Yao Lao was completely moved this time. Beiji collapse is not some of his signature fighting skills. It was a high-level Shen-level fighting skill that someone gave him when he was begging him to refine medicine. With his status at the time, he didn't look down on the Suinja fighting skills at all, so he put it into the Najing at will. Knowing this, Dochi continent is probably just him and that person. The little doll in front of him could know, which really surprised him a bit. Hey hey. In the end, Konohamaru smiled and said, do you still have a practice method that can be combined with different fires, called burning? Art. Chapter 0131. You even know how to burn? Yao Lao was completely shocked. How can this little doll in front of me know everything? Konohamaru shook the fighting spirit comic, pinched his waist and said proudly, these are all written in this comic. I also know that when you used to learn the art of refining medicine, the first thing you did was aphrodisiac, hey hey. Puff Yao Lao, the soul body, couldn't help but spray water. I trademark. How do you even know this? Yao Lao already believed what Konohamaru said, and his eyes narrowed as he focused on the cover of the comic book. The black-robed youth on the cover is holding a ball of cyan fire in his hands. It is Qinglian Earth Heart Fire, the 19th ranked wood expulsion. Most importantly, the black heavy ruler held in the boy's hand. It's his weapon. What the hell is going on with all this? Rao Yi Yao Lao's state of mind was completely at a loss at this moment, and he couldn't help but took the comic and wanted to open it. However, there is a power of invisible rules in comic books. Not only was he unable to open it, but he was shocked by the power of the rules, and the soul body that was not solid at all became even more illusory. Then, the manga automatically floats back to the bookshelf. Shen Ye sat at the cashier, took a sip of black tea leisurely, and said lightly, Nianzai, you are the summoned character, I don't know the rules of the comic shop, this time it's just a warning. Next time you dare to turn over the comics without paying, you don't need to keep this soul body. Yao Lao's face changed abruptly and turned to look at Shen Ye. Suddenly, I felt a wisp of breath from Shen Ye's body, and shivered firmly. Yao Lao's expression changed several times. He could not have imagined that he, who is now a soul body, would feel the chill to the bones in front of this handsome young man who looked like he was only 20 years old. It's like a baby who can't walk yet, facing an incomparably stalwart giant. He had no doubt that even if he stood in front of this young man in his heyday, he would be killed easily. You know, he used to be the pinnacle Dozun with a different fire. Even in the face of a fighting saint-level existence, I have never felt this way. However, this young man gave himself such a terrible feeling. This young man? What level of existence is it? Hearing Shen Ye's words, Konohamaru hurriedly apologized, sorry boss, I didn't explain it to Yao Lao. Konohamaru immediately introduced the rules of the comic shop to Yao Lao, saying, if you want to come to this comic shop to read comics, the first time is 5,000 taels, and you can only read one book a day, and the price will double every time after that. Yao Lao heard the corners of his mouth twitching. And such a snowballing way of charging? After living for hundreds of years, the old man has really opened his eyes. Konohamaru continued, just by reading the manga, you can get a 100% random reward from that manga. You are my reward for watching the fighting spirit. What? Yao Lao was stunned for a moment, and finally understood what Konoha meant, and said somewhat dull, you said that I am, a reward for reading comics? No one could believe that he would appear in an other world as a reward. However, it seems that this is the only way to make sense. Yao Lao looked at the comic on the bookshelf with burning eyes. As long as you read that comic, maybe you can know some answers yourself. Yao Lao looked at Shen Ye and asked respectfully, the shop owner, don't know if I can read comics. He wasn't annoyed at all because of just now. Shen Ye didn't kill himself directly because he flipped the comic rudely just now, it can be said to be a lot. After all, if such an existence exists in the Dochi continent, no one dares to say a word even if he is unhappy and destroys several countries. This is the strong He has lived for hundreds of years and understands it better than anyone else. Shen Ye said, anyone can read comics as long as they pay. Whether it is a person from the Hokage world, or someone from the other world who reads manga. You can read comics as long as you pay according to the rules of the system. Yao Lao's eyes lit up. But when I think that I don't have the currency of this world, I can't help but feel a little embarrassed. Yao Lao looked at Konohamaru, coughed, and said, that. I don't know, can you borrow the old man 5,000 taels first? I'd like to read that Dufa manga. Don't worry, the old man is very trustworthy, and I will pay you back double what I borrowed from you. Yao Lao is a little sad. I think that I am also the top refining yakushi in the Dochi continent. There have been many dozuns and even doshengs who took out treasures that mortals would not dare to think of in order to make medicines for themselves, but they dismissed them. Now I'm getting to the point where I have to borrow money from a child. I'm not called little doll, I'm Konohamaru. Konohamaru was not angry, but he still took out 5,000 taels of medicine. Let people in the world of Dufu read Dopo manga, and Konohamaru thinks it is very interesting. The money is paid. Yao Lao picked up the Dopo comic and opened it with excitement. The Xiao family is a genius, 3 years of useless firewood, and his cultivation is going backwards. Yao Lao couldn't help blushing when he saw the opening. This seems to be what I did. 39 Then I saw that Xiao Yan, who was regarded as a waste by countless people, faced the girl's divorce, waved a big pen, wrote a divorce letter, and said proudly, 30 years of Hedong and 30 years of Hexi, don't bully the poor. 0, good. Good. Well said. When Yao Lao saw this, his heart was surging all of a sudden, and he stroked his beard and said with a smile, this son has a bit of the style of the old man back then. He was expelled from the medicine clan because of the thin bloodline of Emperor Do in those days and was looked down upon by others. At that time, he swore to the medicine clan behind him. What if there is no Do de bloodline? What if there are no family resources? He Yaoken will one day become the number 1 Yakushi in Dochi continent. Seeing this, it naturally resonates. Soon, Yao Lao saw himself on the stage, his eyes widened, is there really me? In the comics, he is determined to accept Xiao Yan as his apprentice, and teach Xiao Yan to practice the 8 extreme collapses and alchemy. And Xiao Yan did not let him down, no matter what kind of pain he persevered in the end, just for that 3-year appointment. Yao Lao was shocked in his heart. At this moment, he felt that his worldview had collapsed. Every look, every action, every decision that he shows when he appears in the comics. Let him have no doubt that the person in the cartoon is definitely himself. If he hadn't been summoned to this world, then his future destiny must be the same as in the comics. Yao Lao's heart surged with turbulent waves. In the comics, is it his future destiny in that world? Men. Chapter 0132. Looking at Dopo at this time, Yao Lao felt that he was not watching the story, but the fate. The complicated feeling of reading the trajectory of his own destiny with his own eyes is indescribable. Konohamaru looked at Yao Lao's appearance, sometimes shocked, sometimes excited, and sometimes thinking, and found it very interesting. At this time, a white-haired man walked into the comic shop with weak legs, his face still flushed. This kind of cuisine is even better than the lady in the custom shop. Hehe, no wonder so many people line up to eat. After eating it, I felt like my clothes were all blown off. 35 It's him. Shen Ye glanced at the person and recognized the person. It was Jiraiya, one of the Sunin. As soon as Jiraiya entered the manga store, he smiled and said, Boss, I want to read this manga. The first time I read 5,000 taels, 030 can only read 1 book a day, and then the price doubles each time. Shen Ye said, after paying the money, you can go to the bookshelf and choose by yourself. This is the money I managed to save. Jiraiya paid the money very painfully and came to the bookshelf. Her eyes were immediately attracted by the cover of velvet pattern, her eyes bulged, there are still restricted grades? Jiraiya picked up the velvet pattern without any hesitation, and said with a smile, after eating the ramen noodles and reading a manga, it's a full day. 35 With a smirk, Jiraiya ran to a corner to read the manga. As soon as I opened it, my nose bleeds. How could such a cute and beautiful girl deliver to the door by herself? Nothing, I haven't encountered such a good thing. Beast man. The girl let go, let me. Jiraiya looked heartbroken. I can't wait to get into the comics to replace the male protagonist. Tian finished watching Under One Person, Part 1 at this time. frowning slightly, and complained, "Why did it break just after going to Lushan?" Grandpa Zhonghulan didn't explain what happened. "And what are the 8 magical skills? What is the secret of Sister Baoer's life experience? Oh, I really want to see the second part." 35 Zhonghulan went to Luo Tiandao, and the Gao dynasty was about to start, but it suddenly stopped here. Makes Tian a little crazy. Are these comics all out of context? What? Are you short of blades at home? At this time, system information refresh. Customers have read under one person, part 1 every day, and got away 18 styles away 18 forms Feng Bao's 18 forms of body art developed under Su Si's suggestion, including Guanyin sitting on lotus, D dragon drill, Zongchu, Kato's finger, and one shot into the soul. Go out to fight, fight in the arena, whoever uses who is ashamed series. Shen Ye looked at the reward information and didn't know where to start complaining. The name is really down to earth. When I saw Su Siping, I didn't read much about the postgraduate entrance examination materials. A splendid brilliance enveloped the sky. The sadness in Tianatian's eyes disappeared instantly, and turned into a strong expectation. The last time I saw the assassin Wu Lihoki obtain the Qi control scissors, I don't know what it will be this time. In case there is a Qi origin of the 8 magical skills, or something like a spiritual dispatch, that would be amazing. Just as the girl was looking forward to it, she felt that there were more moves in her mind. In each move, there is a drill where Sister Baoer has a cute expression. Every day, black lines fell on his forehead. This trick. Why does everyone look so evil? A moment, the light dissipates. Feeling the extra information in his mind every day, he asked Shen Ye, "Boss, this is?" Shen Ye held his chin with one hand and smiled, "Away's 18 styles, all of which are not discounted. Every day, underscore, sure enough it was this. D dragon diamond, zonged, Kato's finger. Where is this thing used for fighting?" Tian blushed, "This move is too bright." Shen Ye smiled and said, "Then use it when you're not fighting." 35 Use it when you're not fighting. Tian was stunned, and immediately understood what Shen Ye meant. His pretty face was red and hot, and he lowered his head and said, "That. I'll go first." Saying that, Tian left shyly. Shen Ye shook his head and smiled. This little girl is too amused. This is the real blood. Shino read the One Punch manga, and the eyes behind Xiao Yuan's sunglasses lit up. The scene where the Universe Overlord Boros appeared was too shocking. The spaceship parked above the hero's headquarters, obscuring the sky. That strong sense of oppression seems to penetrate the paper and spew out. Poros didn't even end up in person. Just one of the 3 cadres under his command, Maruzagaruto, has already started a fierce battle with many S-rank heroes. In the end, Saitama entered the spaceship alone, punched a senior cadre, and then singled out Boros. Poros has been traversing the universe for an unknown amount of time without an opponent. He came here because he learned the prophecy that there are strong people who can fight him. The overlord of the universe with such a high level of force, before his death, said that there was no real battle between himself and Saitama, and that Saitama was too strong. The feeling of burning blood almost blew him up. At this time, system information refresh. Customer Aberme Shino has finished reading One Punch Man Part 1 and obtained 17 10,000 years cicada adults 17 10,000 years cicada adults. An insect-type monster that evolved from the 17 10,000 years cicada larvae in the underground for a long time. It has very strong defense and attack, and is an existence that can cause dragon-level disasters. 17 10,000 years cicada adults? Isn't this the weirdo that appeared in the One Punch extra story? Shen Ye looked at the information and said to himself, although the level is not indicated in the comics, the scene is still 5.6, so it can be called a dragon-level disaster. Jinai looked at Shen Ye. Shen Ye said, "Your reward is too big, go outside and wait." A big reward. Shino's expression moved slightly and came outside the store. Buzz one by one at this moment, a majestic light fell. In the light, a huge figure gradually emerged. At this moment, Anbu wearing a fox mask suddenly appeared, his eyes were bright, and he shouted, "A monster is about to appear again. Everyone, get ready. Is it the same monster Hokage-sama encountered last time? Thanks to our timely action last time, Hokage-sama was saved from danger, but he was only slightly injured. This time, the monsters can't be allowed to do whatever they want. Konoha shinobi, who are always on call around the manga shop, appeared one after another with high fighting spirit. Chapter 0133. The light fades, a giant cicada with an indifferent face emerged. The giant cicada vibrated its four wings and stagnated in mid-air. The figure cast a shadow on the street. Slowly looking down, he exudes an astonishing dangerous aura. This is... Looking at the velvet pattern, Jiraiya stopped abruptly, and turned her eyes to the giant cicada above the street. There was no more serious look on her face, but a solemn look on her face. She said solemnly, "It's really out of thin air. Otherworld creatures appear. And this feeling. The strength of this monster is probably very strong." Even he felt a sense of danger from the giant cicada. Seeing that he had lent his power to Xiao Yan to fight with others, Yao Lao, who was so happy to see Zhu Chan being summoned, couldn't help but his expression was shocked, and he murmured, "I was summoned just like this monster. This world? And it comes from a different world." The more the old man thought about it, the more terrified he felt, and the look in Shen Ye's eyes filled with awe. Only the stronger can you understand the horror of these 15 comic shops. What kind of heaven-defying method is this to summon creatures who do not belong to this world? Even the Dode who has not appeared in the Dochi continent for 10,000 years would never be able to do this. This is beyond people's imagination. The monster has appeared. Fox Mask Enbu burst out drinking, ready to shoot. Shino hurriedly said, "Wait a minute." Hearing this, the figures of the Fox Mask Enbu and the surrounding Konoha shinobi stopped subconsciously. Shino stepped forward and extended his hand to the adult 10,000 years cicada. Fox Mask Enbu was about to say the danger of backing off. However, an unexpected scene appeared. The 10,000 years cicada adults slowly stretched out their forelimbs and touched Shino's hand. Not only did he not attack Shino, but instead he expressed a friendly signal. Inside the comic shop, Shen Ye said with a smile, "This guy is lucky. The adult 10,000 years cicada that he summoned has a docile personality, and he also has a good impression of him. The character of the summoned creature is completely indeterminate. Some are good-natured and like to be close to the winner. There are also some fierce, who will attack the winner on the spot." The 10,000 years adult cicada in front of him obviously had a good impression of Shino. 10,000 years adult cicadas are considered the threshold for entering the dragon level in terms of strength. Don't look at Saitama punching a dragon-level monster. In fact, every dragon-level monster is not easy. If Shino can really harvest this 10,000 years cicada adult as a summoning beast, then it definitely belongs to the top summoning beast in the ninja world. 10,000 years cicada adults did not attack Shino. The Fox Mask Enbu saw this and signaled the others not to attack. If there is no way to fight, no one is willing to fight such a terrifying monster casually. Jinai looked at Shen Ye and said, "Boss. 10,000 years cicada adults, dragon-level monsters." Shen Ye said, "Dragon-level monster." When Shino heard the words, she turned her head to look at Zhu Chan, her pupils trembling, and said, "Would you like to be a partner with me?" "Understood." The giant cicada's wings vibrated and made a harsh sound, turning into a wave of sound. Shino smiled and jumped from the giant cicada's forelimb to the giant cicada's head. The giant cicada took Shino and turned around and flew towards the Aberme clan. That monster actually listened to the words of that kid from the Aberme clan. Even if you think about it stupidly, this is definitely a powerful combat force. It can only be said that the boy is lucky. Many of the summoned creatures obtained by those people in the past killed even the winners. Don't think about it, the people of the Aberme family are born with a mysterious closeness to insects. Didn't you see the look in the eyes of the giant cicada when it looked at us? If it were us, it would definitely attack. Looking at the back of the 10,000 years cicada adults, the surrounding Anbu and the ninja were envious. Seeing that Hina obtained such a powerful summoned beast, the Fox Mask Anbu was also a little bit eager to move, and said to himself, "How about I try my luck? What if I can win any good rewards?" Once the idea came up, it was irresistible. Fox Mask Anbu walked into the comic shop and said, "Boss, I also want to read a comic 5 according to the rules. After paying the money, go to the bookshelf and pick it yourself." Shen Ye said. Fox Mask Enbu paid 5,000 taels, and couldn't wait to go to the bookshelf to take One Piece, East Blue and watch it. "It seems that I am satisfied with drawing new comics again." Shen Ye looked at the system. Host, Shen Ye Comic, Under One Person Part 1, 100,000 Bad Jokes Part 1, Assassin Wu Lai Hoki, One Punch Man Part 1, One Piece, East Blue, Shinigami Soul Society Chapter L Extraction, receive 10 customers can extract a comic book, received, 10/10 people, can extract, one-time task, accumulate 100 customers, get a mysterious reward, received, 89/100 people. It is enough to draw a new comic once, and the mysterious reward will be coming soon. Shen Ye said, System, extract comics. Start extracting, extracted from the comics, Fairy Tale, Part 1 Fairy Tale, Part 1, in this world where magic is ubiquitous, people who manipulate magic are called sorcerers, and sorcerers gather to form guilds. On the land called Fiori Kingdom, there is the strongest guild called Fairy Tale. Lucy longed to join the Fairy Tale Guild. But one day she met a pink-haired boy who had no money to eat in a small town restaurant, claiming to be Natsu Igniru, the dragon slayer from Fairy Tale. A story begins here, Fairy Tale? Shen Ye smiled lightly and said, 030 This is also a comic about the migrant workers of the past. Fairy Tale is characterized by high-pitched and compact, fierce fighting, and never lack of burning fighting spirit. And there are many powerful magics in the comics, such as Dragon Slayer magic, God Slayer magic, Time magic, Dark magic, and so on. Shen Ye put the comics on the bookshelf. Now, 10,000 years adult cicadas flew over the mansion of the Aberame clan. The Aberame family of ninjas rushed out. Looking at the huge and terrifying giant cicada in the sky, they all shuddered, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Aberame's highway came out with the jar on his back and looked up at Ju Chan, a cold sweat dripping from his forehead. However, seeing that the giant cicada did not attack the Aberame family, knowing that the visitor was not hostile, Aberame said, This friend, I don't know what the Aberame family is doing. At this time, a figure appeared on the giant cicada, It's me. Seeing his son on the giant cicada, Aberame's face changed suddenly, Shino? What's going on? 35 This is the reward I drew in the comic shop, 10,000 years giant cicada adults. Shino said, I came home to get the summoning contract and make a contract with it. Aberame said incredulously, You said this giant cicada is willing to sign a contract with you? 35 Shino nodded. When Aberame heard the words, his heart trembled, and he said, It's the comic shop that the village has heard about recently. How could it still reward such a powerful summoning beast? Chapter 0134. Inside the comic shop. Is this over? Anyway, this old man has also taught this Xiao Yan for 3 years, just waiting for him to go to the Yunlin sect to pretend. How come it disappeared? Yao Lao looked at Dopo, who said there was no such thing, and felt a pain in his heart. The comics are so cool to read, maybe this time my deity will end up pretending to be a force, but it suddenly disappears. It's more than heartache, it's so heartache that I can't breathe. However, after watching the first part, Yao Lao also looked forward to the following plot. Looking like this, Xiao Yan's second volume is going to that Canaan Academy. Canaan College is adjacent to Noir Domain. The traitor Han Tianfeng seemed to be hiding there. Hehe, I want to see what happens to this traitor in the end. Back then, the old man thought of him pitifully, took him back, raised him as an adult, and passed him on the technique of refining medicine, but as a result, he joined hands with the people from the Soul Palace to design the old man. If it wasn't for the power of Yakushi's soul, it would be impossible for the old man to survive this trace of soul in the world. This white-eyed wolf. There was a hint of coldness on Yao Lao's face. If it weren't for Han Tianfeng, his dignified medicine venerable wouldn't have fallen to the point where there is only one soul body left. However, his heart is more chilling. He treated Han Tianfeng as if he had done it himself, and both fighting skills and medicine refining skills could be said to be taught by him. Only the burning art, he did not pass on to Han Tianfeng. He knew that cultivating the burning art was extremely dangerous. How could the terrifying wonders of heaven and earth be so easy to control, and that it was impossible for those who were not determined to succeed in their cultivation. With Han Tianfeng's impatience and favoritism, if he were to practice the burning art, he would undoubtedly fail. He didn't want to see Han Tianfeng take this road, so he refused to promise him for a long time and teach him the burning art. Who would have thought that Han Tianfeng not only did not understand his own painstaking efforts, but also hated him because of it, and planned to frame himself with outsiders. Sure enough, no matter how good some people are to him, he always feels that it is not enough, and even takes all this for granted, without the slightest gratitude. He just wanted to see if Xiao Yan would avenge him in the second part. At this time, System Information Refresh. Customer Yeoken has finished reading Under One Person, Part 1 and obtained, Double Color Buddha's Fury Lotus 2 Color Buddha's Furious Fire Lotus. Xiao Yan's 2 Color Buddha's Furious Fire Lotus formed by combining the two different fires of the Bone Spirit Cold Fire and the Qing Lian Earth Heart Fire. It exploded, enough to burn up a mountain, and a Duhuang strong man could fall if he was not careful. This skill card disappears after one use. Buzz one by one a dazzling light fell from the void and landed on Yao Lao's hand. Gradually the light dissipated, turning into a white card. A blue and white flaming lotus flower is branded on the white card. The fire lotus is lifelike, as if there is a hot and cold aura that is going to spew out through the card. This pattern is a bit like the Buddha's Fury Lotus used by Xiao Yan. Yao Lao was surprised, looked at Shen Ye and said with the intention of asking, "Boss, I don't know about this reward. Using this card, you can turn into a 2-color Buddha's Wrathful Lotus." Luo Shen Ye said. It turned out to be the kind of different fire fighting skills created by Xiao Yan. Hearing this, Yao Lao's expression froze. Even he has never practiced Fenju, so he doesn't know much about Fenju. When he was reading the comics, when he saw that Xiao Yan actually merged the two different fires of the Bone Spirit Cold Fire and the Qing Lian Earth Heart Fire, he broke into a cold sweat for the ruthless Xiao Yan. Alien fire is the most violent existence on the Doqi continent. A single fire has the power to burn mountains and boil the sea. When two different fires come together, they must be incompatible with each other, and even burst out with the power of destroying the sky and destroying the earth. However, Xiao Yan used the Fenju Doqi to achieve a clever short-term balance between the different fires, and then let go and flew out, bursting with amazing power. High-level Duhuang would have to take a detour. Low-level Duhuang may even be directly blown to pieces. This card can use the 2-color Buddha's Fury Lotus once, which is enough to become a powerful whole card for him now. The medicine veteran put away the Buddha's Fury Lotus and looked at Konohamaru at this time. Although the little doll in front of him doesn't seem to have very good qualifications, it's okay in his heart. It just so happens that he has a lot of things to understand in this strange world, so he should take this little baby as his disciple. Thinking of this, Yao Lao carried his hands on his back and said indifferently, "Little baby. My name is Konohamaru." Well, the little Konohamaru doll. Konohamaru, a plus or minus soil old man, I will bring you back to the world of Do Soul with a table. Yao Lao said in a tempting tone, "Do you want to practice earth-level fighting skills?" The old man is not only capable of low-level fighting skills like the flame-splitting wave ruler. I have a lot of earth-level fighting skills, and I have heaven-level fighting skills. Do you want to learn? Konohamaru frowned, even if you give me the heavenly rank Do skill, it still needs Do Chi to display it, and I can't use it for anything. Yao Lao, what? It seems to be the case. Although he can convert vindictive energy and the energy of this world, it can only be applied to himself. People in this world can still only use the abilities of this world system. No matter how awesome the fighting skills are, there is nothing attractive. Yao Lao had no choice but to change his routine and then said foolishly, "Do you want to learn alchemy?" Hehe, I don't dare to brag about how powerful he is, but he is definitely the top-ranked Yakushi in the world of Do Soul. I also have the 7th grade pill recipe, the 8th grade pill recipe, and the 9th grade pill recipe that is enough to make countless people fight for their heads. Do you want to learn? Konohamaru looked at Yao Lao with a look of "Are you really stupid or fake?" and said, "There is no fighting spirit in this world, how can I be a Yakushi? Besides, where is the magic medicine? I learned to practice medicine, what am I going to do?" Yao Lao, Yao Lao was a little crazy. When he said this in the comics, Xiao Yan was overjoyed. How did this all work for this little doll? Yao Lao finally used his strongest trump card, the power of his soul was surging, his body exuded a tyrannical aura, and he said proudly, "Men are born between heaven and earth, they should be unwilling to be ordinary and break their fate. I ask you, are you willing to break the ruler who is over your head?" 35 As soon as these words came out, Yao Lao felt a little excited. Yao Lao smiled in his heart. "Little baby, you are still too tender. If Xiao Yan can't find the north with just this sentence, I don't believe that you are not moved." Konohamaru scratched his head, "Break the ruler? My grandfather is already in the hospital now, why are you beating him? WTF? The ruler here is your grandfather? What about the good start of the waste-wood flow? What about pretending to be tall, rich, and handsome? Why is this still an official 3rd generation?" Yao Lao feels that he has suffered a critical attack in his heart plus 9999. Yao Lao gritted his teeth and struggled to the death. Little baby, you need to know that there are people outside people, there are days outside the sky, and there is a wider world outside this village. Konohamaru coughed and said, our Konoha is already the largest village in the ninja world. Yao Lao, Yake Mountain I make up. You can go away. Can I still make the old man pretend to be forced? Chapter 0135. Konohamaru looked at Yao Lao, who was on the verge of autism, and suddenly said, when are you going to pay back the money? Yao Lao, little friends, can you not mention money, it hurts your feelings. Medicine old forehead. Thinking that he is a top-level smelting Yakushi in Do-Chi continent, and he will be sought after by countless strong people wherever he goes. How come to this world and make it so miserable, I have to borrow money to read this comic. And there are no yellow and white things used in worldly transactions in the Tana Ring. After all, a powerhouse at his level is already two completely different worlds from ordinary people. Even if the transaction is used, the resources between the fighters are used. Gold and silver are the same as stones, how could it be possible to put such a thing in a ring? As for the medicinal pills he had made before, he had used it up completely when he was evading the pursuit. There are only countless pill recipes and fighting skills left in his NA ring, plus a black heavy ruler. In the world of Do Soul, just throwing out the most inconspicuous 6th grade medicinal pill can make Do King Do Huang jealous, and gold and silver mountains cannot be exchanged, but in this world, it is no different from waste paper. Yao Lao coughed and said, although this old man has only a trace of strength left, he still has some skills in refining medicine. The old man can get familiar with the medicinal materials in this world as soon as possible, and then design several medicinal herbs to ensure that 030 will sell well in your world. Konohamaru wondered, then do you have a Yakushi license? If you don't have a license, you're selling fake drugs. If the Konoha Drug Control Institute comes to investigate, you may be sentenced. Yao Lao, the old man has been refining medicine for hundreds of years, you ask, who cares that the old man needs a Yakushi license? Also the Konoha Pharmacy Institute? God trademark Konoha Pharmacy Administration dares to manage the old man's dignified peak? Konohamaru continued, then you. Enough. Stop talking. 35 Yao Lao said angrily, if the old man says anything, he will definitely pay you back. With a small amount of money, is it hard to live with the old man? Hearing this, a customer next to him who was reading comics lit up and handed over a card. Yao Lao took the card, and his face turned green all of a sudden. The high-end club is urgently recruiting part-time masters, with stable passenger flow and first-class environment. The commission for each order is as high as 70%. What are you waiting for? Seeing that Yao Lao did not speak, the customer handed over another one. Unsecured loans, the same day, choosing us is the first step to your success. The blue veins on Yao Lao's forehead bulged. The soul body has been so angry that it began to smoke. Seeing Yao Lao, the customer still didn't speak, and, BFFG, whispered, what's the matter, old man, this is not enough? I have the last one left here. I don't tell the average person that this is a good life. I only recommend you because you have a good eye for the old man. 99 saying that, the customer handed over another one. Yao Lao took the card, and his hands began to tremble with anger. I want a child with a lot of money. I am fair-skinned, beautiful, temperament, and highly educated. Because my husband is infertile, I have hundreds of millions of taels of assets that I cannot inherit. I want to find a healthy and destined man to get pregnant, and I will pay 5 million taels afterwards. Yao Lao, also asking for money. I beg you to be a banana balala little devil. If not in a comic store, Yao Lao has no doubt that he has now slashed the face of this person with a flame splitting the wave. Yao Lao forcibly suppressed the anger in his heart and said to Konohamaru, come on, this old man and you will go to the herbal store to have a look, buy some herbs and go back to good medicine. The old man does not believe it, because the old man will be troubled by the mere money because of this hand refining technique. Konohamaru had seen Yao Lao's method of refining medicine in the comics, and said, by the way, can Yao Lao help my grandfather and uncle see the disease? The old man owes you the favor of the little doll, which is naturally nothing. After Yao Lao finished speaking, he was ready to drill back into the ring. Seeing that the customer was about to miss out on a business, he hurriedly shouted, Master, if you can't do it, you can try something else. What about cleaning? You can always play more, right? Are you going to move bricks at the construction site? Yao Lao, Shan the old man beat you ms more. Sweep your ms hygiene. Suddenly, Yao Lao stopped. How much does it cost to move bricks at the construction site? Seeing Konohamaru's gaze, Yao Lao coughed and said, "Cough, I'm joking." Yao Lao returned to Konohamaru's ring. Konohamaru rushed to the village's herbal medicine store. He is really looking forward to whether Yao Lao's refining skills will trigger a wave of medicinal pills in this world. Shen Ye looked at Konohamaru who was leaving and shook his head. I always feel that Yao Lao's style of painting has been skewed. Jiraiya also watched Velvet Kiss at this time, and said with a distressed expression, "Poor stepmother, what a charming young woman, she was locked in like this." At this time, system information refresh. Customer Jiraiya has finished reading Velvet Pattern, and got a bottle of hardcover Brother W. A bottle of hardcover Brother W. Are you still blaming yourself for the whining of your wife beside the pillow? Are you still ashamed of the creaking noise from the Wang family next door? Brother W brings you self-confidence. We know men better than women. Puff Shen Ye, who was drinking black tea, almost spit out. This slogan is really not ordinary, but it is quite suitable for spontaneous. Suddenly, a ray of light fell. Jiraiya is full of anticipation. It would be great to have a heroine Hanako for yourself. It would be better if it was a stepmother. Hey. At this time, the light dissipated. A small blue box is revealed. It was printed with a man who laughed as much as King Tobili. Jiraiya looked at Shen Ye and said stunned, "Boss, what is this?" Shen Ye thought for a while and said, "Something that can make your little Jiraiya more powerful." Hearing this, Jiraiya's face sank, and she said, "Boss, my little Jiraiya can't be any more powerful. What's the use of me asking for this?" Saying that, Jiraiya put the medicine into Kabuto, afraid that it would fall out and take a pat. Shen Ye, you are a good man who is consistent on the surface. Jiraiya leaned over and said in a low voice, "Boss, next time you have such a good-looking manga, you must remember to call me." Shen Ye said, "There was a man who said the same thing to you in the past." Jiraiya frowned, "What now?" Shen Ye said, "He has to support the wall when he walks now." Jiraiya hits a jerk. "Is it so scary?" Jiraiya walked out of the comic shop, put away the smile on her face, looked solemnly at the comic shop's sign. He never imagined that he would open such a comic shop on his trip back to the village. By reading comics, you can reward other world creatures and items. As long as you are lucky, it is not impossible to obtain the power of the god of Ninja World in an instant. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. However, the facts are in front of us. He could already have a hunch that the Ninja World would be brought to drastic changes because of this comic shop. And it must be Konoha who will bear the brunt of the upheaval. Jiraiya whispered, "I really don't know what the Ninja World will look like in the future, but..." Jiraiya took out the bottle of Brother W and smiled wickedly. This should be very useful. Chapter 0136. When Jiraiya was thinking about where to go to test the efficacy of the medicine, she suddenly saw Ebisu walking towards the wall with a thin and yellow face, and the corners of her mouth twitched. Could he be the one the boss said? Ebisu saw Jiraiya and was surprised. "Jiraiya-sama, when did you come back?" "It's Ebisu, I just got back." Seeing that Ebisu was able to do this in just 2 days, Jiraiya must have received some very powerful reward, and she leaned over and said with ecstasy, "Have you ever been to a comic store?" Ebisu nodded. Jiraiya's eyes lit up, and she rubbed her hands together. "Quickly tell me what reward you got." When Ebisu was asked, she could only whisper in Jiraiya's ear. "There is such a thing." When Jiraiya heard what Ebisu's reward was, she immediately stopped in Ebisu and said excitedly, "Go. Let's go to your house together. There's actually a good one for watching that stuff. And there are so many series of Widow, Xiangbaya, Mother's Friend, and Absolute Field. Can't be repaired. If I knew earlier, I would have returned to Konoha." Ebisu's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, "Lord Jiraiya, I managed to restrain myself from coming out of the house and go back. My body can't stand it. 99 Hey, I'll just see for myself. I know myself. I can't help it. Go away." Elegant Butterfly Jiraiya took Ebisu home to see the postgraduate study materials together. It was not until Jiraiya and Ebisu left, that the 3 figures of 2 men and 1 woman walked out of the street corner. The guy just now. Yes, he is Jiraiya, one of the Sunin. I didn't expect him to return to Konoha. One of the men and one woman had solemn expressions on their faces. Sunin became famous in the Second Ninja World War and is a legendary figure in the ninja world. The younger generation of ninjas are in awe of this name. The burly man at the head snorted lightly and said, "Don't worry about him." The three of them were the fourth Raikage, Samui and Amwa, who were sent to Cloud Shinobi's secret base using the Tian Shao technique. All three of them used the transformation pill to change their appearance. Saying that, fourth Raikage turned his eyes to the comic shop, and a flash of light flashed in his eyes. "Let's go, this is our purpose." 35 Fourth Raikage walked into the comic shop and said solemnly, "We heard that if you just read the comics here, you can get random rewards from the comics, is that true?" Shen Ye said lightly, "Not sure." Dang Tang Raikage ran over from Cloud Shinobi? Are you so idle? Fourth Raikage's pupils suddenly shrank when they heard the words, and their hearts suddenly became vigilant. This boss actually saw through the transformation Dan at a glance? To know that this is the latest invention of Cloud Shinobi, even Konoha's White Fang can't see through it. However, although Shen Ye's voice was not low, it seemed that there was an invisible wall blocking the sound so that other customers could not hear it. Fourth Raikage quickly discovered this, but he didn't hide it, and said frankly, "Yes, I came from Cloud Shinobi for your comic shop. 15,000 taels, you can choose from the bookshelf." 35 Shen Ye said. Samui handed over the money, and the three went to the bookshelf. Omoi whispered, "Mr. Samui, he won't reveal our identities, will he?" "Won't." Samui shook his head and said, "If that's the case, the boss doesn't need to control his voice so that only we can hear it, isn't that unnecessary? Moreover, it can be determined according to our investigation into the village. This manga shop has nothing to do with Konoha. Even those high-level officials of Konoha have no right, and it can even be said that they dare not interfere with this comic shop." Speaking of this, Samui's heart sank. This further confirms this comic shop, otherwise Konoha would never have this attitude. Fourth Raikage picked up Fairy Tail, Part 1 on the bookshelf, the corners of his mouth raised slightly on his grim face, and said, "This comic looks good, I'll just read this one. Then I'll read this book, hey." 35 Omoi picked up the One Punch comic and said, "This comic feels very powerful just by looking at the name." 35 Samui chose 100,000 Bad Jokes, Part 1 among the only two comics left on the shelf. After all, women are unlikely to be interested in the theme of the Hulk. The three of them went to their seats to read the comics. As soon as Omoi opened the punch, he was attracted by the invincible setting of the protagonist Saitama, his hormones soared, and excitedly said, "Wow, this Saitama is too powerful. Such a strong monster is One Punch." Samui was also amused by 100,000 cold jokes, and her fair and pretty face showed a blush from time to time. "This comic is also very good looking. Pinocchio, who has a long nose that can constantly stretch, has lived with Bai Shui from now on. Happy life, so evil. Flowers." If it is said, Konoha still has some uncreative comics to read. That Cloud Shinobi doesn't even have a few comics. Samui and Omoi had never seen such a good-looking cartoon, and they were immediately attracted. Even Fourth Raikage, who is usually unsmiling, looks like the fairy tale is also burning with enthusiasm, and his heart is addicted. The most important thing is the character of the protagonist Natsu, which is almost exactly the same as when he was young. The character is like a dynamite barrel, and it explodes at a little bit, and if there is a disagreement, it will fight. Never bow to any opponent and any difficulty. Natsu would always break out at the last minute, shouting "I'm burning up," and then start counter-attacking the boss. 0, seeing him itching all over, "I wish I could have a good fight like Natsu." The roar of the engine is from far to near. A silver Harley motorcycle is parked outside the comic shop. Yamanaka Kai got off the motorcycle with a look of mourning and resentment. "Boss, is there any cartoon that can draw a better sports car than Lyuju's? Riding a motorcycle for a lap, I met Narashikako driving that Porsche 911 3 times. Unacceptable. How can I swallow this breath?" Shen Ye said, "There is only the Hulk book left on the bookshelf, but there is indeed something you need in that comic. As long as you are lucky enough, you can draw it." 35 Yamanaka Kai blinked one by one. "Boys with ponytails are not bad luck." Shen Ye was speechless. "You are so arrogant, do your family know?" On a street in Konoha village. While the people were gasping for breath, the two figures wearing bamboo hats and red clouds and black robes looked a little out of place. One covered his entire body except for his eyes. Only the exposed eyes are like evil spirits, making people shudder. The other one was carrying a bloody three-scythe, with a somewhat perverse expression on his face. It was Kakuzu and Haiden of the undead duo. The two entered Konoha silently according to the method told by Uchiha Itachi. It's my first time in Konoha. 39 Haiden looked around curiously and chuckled, it does seem to be as peaceful as rumored. Chapter 0137. Kakuzu next to him said coldly, let's go quickly, we are not here to travel, but to investigate that comic shop. Hey, I'm just a little new. With a bit of cynicism, Haiden looked at Kakuzu and said, guess what reward you will be waiting for? Ha ha ha. I want to laugh when I think that Deidara guy actually got the old lady's underwear. Really echoes his taste as an artist. I don't like talking nonsense with you. Kakuzu didn't like to say much, and walked forward on his own. Haiden saw that Kakuzu said to leave, and hurriedly said, hey, wait for me. 99 Two people pass by your ramen. There was a humming sound from the ramen shop. Haiden clicked his tongue, is Konoha so open about this? Why are you as filthy as the white-haired one just now? This is a ramen shop. One person suddenly said, 030 however, this new type of ramen is really super good. The cooking method is from the otherworld cuisine from a comic shop. It is guaranteed that you will not be able to stop after eating it. Real or fake? Haiden said, so powerful. You'll know when you taste it. 35 Gu Haiden took a mouthful of saliva, really eager to try. Kakuzu frowned, don't waste your time, be careful to be discovered by Konoha's people here. It's just a bowl of ramen, it's not a big deal. Haiden looked at the long queue ahead. If this waits, I don't know how long it will take. Besides, he's not one to queue. Haiden jumped straight to the first one. This time, the hornet's nest was stabbed, and the people in line denounced Haiden. One of the tall men came over, looked at Haiden, and said with anger, boy, you dare to cut the line in front of me, do you know who I am? Bang! However, as soon as the man finished speaking, he was kicked to the ground by Haiden. Haiden clasped his ears and said lazily, I don't even know who I am, so I have the nerve to ask me. The person who was going to denounce Haiden just now shut up. The man who was kicked down felt very shameless, and said angrily, is there any ninja here who take money and fight for others? 35 As soon as Kakuzu heard Chien, he turned around and said, me. The man shouted, you beat him up for me, and I'll give you 100,000 taels. Kakuzu shook his head, he's my partner. Haiden smiled upon hearing this. After all, we have been partnering with Kakuzu for so long, so we still have some feelings for this. Kakuzu said solemnly, you have to pay more. Haiden, brother Kakuzu, you are really good at life. Konoha Hospital. The long-nosed Yudin Koharu walked into the ward with an insulated lunchbox and said with a smile, Hiruzen, guess what I cooked for you? Roar. God's condemnation. An angry shout suddenly sounded. A huge black armored arm appeared, instantly bursting the window of the ward. The giant black blade pointed straight at Yudin Koharu. Sarutobi Hiruzen was as angry as a blower, gritted his teeth and said, if you dare to step into this ward, I will cut you right now. Are you still here? If it weren't for you, our grandfather could lie here neatly. Yudin Koharu, Hiruzen, don't sauce purple. Did you forget we fell in love? People didn't do it on purpose. Yudin Koharu looked at Asuma, hoping that Asuma would say something nice for him. With a bandage on his head, Asuma lit a cigarette, exhaled, and said, old man, let me come. Yudin Koharu, Grandpa, Uncle, what are you doing? Konohamaru walked into the ward and was immediately taken aback by the gesture. It's Konohamaru. Seeing his grandson Konohamaru, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face softened a lot and put away Zanpakut. Konohamaru said happily, Grandpa, I invited a very powerful person to see your doctor. A very powerful person. Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile, except for Tsunade who has left Konoha, the director of Konoha Hospital is already the most powerful medical ninja in the country of fire. This one is more powerful than the Tsunade you mentioned. Konohamaru said, Yao Lao, it's time for you to appear. The power of the soul rippling, Yao Lao slowly emerged from the ring. Who is this? Seeing an old man floating out of the ring, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked bewildered. This is Yao Lao, the Lien Yakushi that I summoned from the Duso manga. Konohamaru said, Yao Lao's refining technique is very powerful. 35 Yao Lao looked like an expert, and used the power of the soul to investigate the injuries of the two people, saying, is this a small injury? Simple. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Asuma were pleasantly surprised. Country of Waves. The bridge deck shrouded in mist. Kakashi held a gentleman's staff, looked at the grim man wrapped in bandages and held a giant sword in front of him, and said solemnly, I never imagined that I would encounter a ghost who was one of the 7 people who used to ninja swords and would not cut him again. Mr. Dazner, this is not a C-level mission, at least it's an A-level start. We may have the right to give up tasks that have exceeded our level here. Dazna behind Kakashi apologized, I'm really sorry, because we really can't get the money for the A-level mission here, so I deliberately concealed the information about the mission. However, if the country of Wave continues to be controlled by capitalists like Cardo, the people here will really be doomed. Please help the country of Waves. Follow up money, I will make it up for you anyway. 39 Saying that, Dazner knelt down and touched the ground with his head. Naruto said, Kakashi-sensei, we can't just ignore it like this. It's really troublesome. Kakashi sighed helplessly. Konoha's copy ninja Kakashi. Zabuledensien pointed at Dazna with the beheading sword in his hand, and said indifferently, my target is the head of that old man, get out of the way. 39 He had planned to take action before the country of Waves. But because I went to a comic store, I have been familiar with the mask ability of the Void in the past 2 days. It came directly to the country of Waves. Kakashi said, Konoha shinobi will complete the mission even if they risk their lives. Hearing this, Dazner's eyes flashed with gratitude. Since you have to protect the old man when you say anything, then 5.6 has nothing to say. Then he pointed the beheading sword at Kakashi, murderous, and said coldly, then I will cut you first, and then cut off the head of the old man. Kakashi stared at Naruto and said to the 3 of them, when I deal with this guy, I won't be able to take care of you. You have to protect Mr. Dazna 9. Don't worry, leave it to us. Naruto pointed at the Konoha forward protector and said, we are also Konoha shinobi. Kakashi smiled. Now do not cut again and look at Kakashi. Without slashing, a black energy surged all over the body, and a mask of emptiness gradually condensed on his face. The white energy on Kakashi's body turned into the shape of thunder and lightning, wispy strands, lingering around his body. Suddenly, the two spoke at the same time. Instant. Hollow. 95. Chapter 0138. Have you seen Shinigami 2? Have you seen Shinigami 2? 35 Kakashi and Zabuzan were both surprised by their ability to see each other, and blurted out the same words. Shiro, Naruto, and others also showed surprise. If you didn't cut it, he quickly gathered his surprise, and the fighting intent in his eyes was even stronger. Interesting, then let's see whether it is your Shinigami's instant on power, or my virtual hollow's power. After he finished speaking, he stepped on his foot and disappeared into the mist in an instant. Kakashi's Sharingan caught Zabusha's figure and quickly attacked it. Boom! In the fog, 2 rays of light, one black and one white, collided. A strong wave rushed forward, tearing the mist apart. Then, the 2 energies take their sides and stand against each other, as if to represent the eternal opposition of Shinigami and Neo in the Shinigami world. The bridge deck cracked under this force, and the gravel shot and splashed indiscriminately. Without slashing again, Kakashi and Kakashi are separated with one blow, and they rush to one place again. Boom! Boom! The power of Shinigami and the power of emptiness kept colliding, surging, and raging. After the bombing, do not cut the knot and perform ninjutsu again. No matter what kind of ninjutsu, Kakashi is defending with a gentleman's stick. Water style water dragon bomb technique. Gentleman's stick. Water style. Big waterfall technique. Gentleman's 15 sticks. 0. Gentleman's stick. Do not cut again, can't you have fun? The other side, Shiro naturally faced off against the remaining 3 Naruto. Wearing the mask of Mist Shinobi Anbu, Shiro looked at the 3 of Naruto, with a twinkle in his eyes. The person on the other side has also been to that comic shop. After all, they're ninjas from Konoha, and it's no surprise that they've been to a comic store, and probably more than once. That means they may have one or more means different from the ninja world. If you rush over there, you will probably suffer a big loss in a 1-3 match. In this case, it is better to defeat the opponent psychologically first. Taigu on the white forehead is omnipotent, the observer's one eye turns and looks at the three. Sasuke was stunned when he saw this, and said in surprise, "That's Taigu's 5-vision omnipotent observer?" 35-0. Seeing Sasuke revealing the name of his Taigu, Bai said lightly, "Since you know this Taigu, you must have seen Gen. Scarlet Eyes? Then you should also understand, what kind of thing is this?" Emperor. Harano Sakura asked, "Sasuke, is that guy's Taigu strong?" Sasuke's face was solemn, "It is indeed quite a troublesome Taigu. Omnipotence, the observer has 5 abilities, penetrating vision, farsightedness, perspective, future vision, and hallucination. In the battle, can occupy the absolute initiative. I'll beat him." 35 Naruto stepped forward, clenching his fists. Bai Lingbing said, "You want to use that ability called Rubber Fruit to attack from the left, right?" Naruto was shocked when he heard the words, "You can actually see through my thoughts." "Bai Dao, this is the ability of the 5-vision omnipotent observer, in front of this emperor, you have no secrets at all. Come on, let's see if you can take this trick from me." Naruto's hands were sealed, and more than 10 shadow clone appeared at the same time. Harano Sakura was pleasantly surprised, "Naruto, do you have any other tricks hidden?" "Hey, this trick is 100 attempts." Naruto shouted, "Harem!" Bang bang bang, white smoke rose, and more than a dozen Naruto shadow clone turned into naked Naruto scratching their heads. Harano Sakura slapped his forehead. "BD Naruto! I should have guessed it was the trick." Bai Hung said, "You want to use this trick to distract me, and then the deity shoots from the side, it's useless, I have seen through everything about you." 35 Naruto, who was about to attack from the side, stopped abruptly, gritted his teeth and said, "This guy's Taigu is too difficult to deal with." 35 At this time, Shiro aimed Taigu at Sasuke, who was looking at the dozen or so Naruto, and his face instantly turned red under the mask. Looking at this guy with a cold face, he actually thought about this when he was fighting? Seeing that Shiro didn't speak, Naruto sneered, "Why didn't you say it? Hey, can't you guess what Sasuke is thinking?" "Sure enough, this kind of Taigu is not that powerful." Bai stammered, "He's thinking, so cute, thinking, wanting to get together." Sasuke, oops, it was seen. Naruto, I take you as a brother, but you want to join me. Harano Sakura, can I still beat Naruto after all? Why? Is it because of my gender? Sasuke gritted his teeth, "Don't listen to him, he's disturbing us." Bai glanced at Sasuke's thoughts again, and finally couldn't help pulling out 1,000 copies, gritted his teeth and said, "Fight. I really can't stand the messy things in your mind. So dirty. I ask you to respect the battle between ninjas." Sasuke I make up. You still see. Naruto looked at Sasuke, "What is gay?" Sasuke couldn't wait to find a crack to dig in, and said bravely, "That's a lot, Naruto gritted his teeth and said, "I know this may be a little embarrassing for you, but please refrain from looking at me and focus on the battle." Sasuke 0, who do you think I am, Sasuke? Harano Sakura, listen, is this trademark human? Kakashi, I played so hard here, what are you doing there? Naruto teamed up with Sasuke to attack Shiro. Even though Shiro has the 5-vision omnipotence, the observer plus the blood follower limit, the ice escape, he is still defeated by Naruto and Sasuke in the end. Naruto didn't even use the power of 9 taels as in the original. After all, the strength of the two people has been improved by more than 0.30 grades compared to the original work. However, Naruto also recognized it. The person who was fighting with him in front of him was the sister he had seen yesterday. And Bai lost so fast, also because he didn't fight ruthlessly. The other side, the battle against Kakashi is about to be decided. The Hollow and Shunkai of the two have reached their limits, and they will eventually lose to Kakashi if they don't cut it. At this time, there was a sound of dense footsteps. Zabuzan separated from Kakashi and looked in the direction of the footsteps. Bang! A cane hits the ground. Cardo was on crutches. Behind him are hundreds of ninjas armed with various weapons, grinning. Cardo looked at the embarrassed Zaifu, and smiled, "If you do not, you did a good job, and your mission is now over." Zabuzan looked at Cardo and said coldly, "What do you mean? What's the meaning?" Cardo sneered, "Don't you understand? I never thought about paying you. Please, the former ninja swordsman of 7 people, the price is a bit expensive. It's better to be like now, when you and the Konoha shinobi fight to the death, I'll be a fisherman again. It is said that your head can be sold for a good price to 4th Mizukage. Kakashi. A cold glow flashed in Zabujan's eyes, and he said indifferently, since that guy no longer entrusts me, I have no meaning to fight with you. Chapter 0139. Kakashi nodded. Next is the matter between Zabuza and Kado. His mission was to protect Dazna, and he had done it. At this time, a ninja who was hiding in the dark took up the crossbow machine, aimed it behind Zabuxian, pulled the trigger, go to hell, 9 call out a crossbow arrow was shot from a tricky angle at Zabuchu. Baijian didn't have time to avoid Zabuletanjan, and hurriedly rushed behind Zabuletanjan. Puff! The arrow pierced through Shiro's body. Bai fell powerlessly to the ground, the blood was dazzling red. Zabuzan turned his head suddenly, only to see a smiling face across his eyes. If you don't kill me again, I'm sorry. I can't be your tool anymore. Bai smiled and said, but my death should be useful to you. Watching Bai fall down from his eyes, his pupils shrank again, and he felt that his heart had already ignored all life and death at this moment, and he quickly turned his head and said indifferently, that's right. 9 A satisfied smile appeared on Bai's face. Naruto saw Zabuzan's indifference and said angrily, do you not care about him at all? In order to save you, he didn't even want his life. He loves you so much. He doesn't even have his own dreams. Is it only in exchange for such an end? Zabujan raised his head slightly, tears streaked in his eyes, don't say it anymore. He left the comic store that night, and when he heard Bai's words, he found that something in his heart had begun to shake. Zabuzan suddenly turned his head to look at the ninja who was plotting against him. His eyes were full of murderous intent. The beheading sword flew out of his hand, directly beheading the man. Then, look at Cardo. Cardo was frightened by Zabuzan's eyes and took a step back, shouting to the ninja behind him, you guys, come on. Kill him for me. A group of ninjas rushed over. Without slashing the last chakra on his body, the black mist surged and condensed into a mask representing the void. Zero. If you don't open your mouth again, the black and red energy will continue to condense. Eventually, the energy reaches saturation. The boom turned into a black-red beam of destruction and shot out. Boom boom Cardo and a group of ninjas were bombed and killed wherever Zero went. And the mask on his face is also broken at the same time, his body is shaking, and he can't stand still. Without further ado, he turned his head to look at Shiro on the ground. White was dying. Suddenly, heavy snow fell in the sky, and they were swaying. Zabujan picked up Bai and said softly, I'll take you away. 35 Don't kill Mr. Bai weakly said, I have no meaning for you anymore, let me go. I won't let you go. No longer holding Bai, he left a row of footprints on the snow, do you have any meaning to me, you say it or not, I say it. 35 Looking at the back of Zabuzan hugging Shiro and leaving, Naruto smiled, hee, now that guy is actually quite pleasing to the eye. Kakashi said, the ghosts were created in the blood fog, but when the child woke up, he would not slay. Naruto stretched his back and said expectantly, I can finally finish my mission and go back. I don't know what comics will be released in the comic shop. 35 Suddenly Naruto saw Sasuke with a depressed face next to him, and shivered, saying, I tell you, you stopped thinking about me as soon as possible. It is impossible for us. Sasuke, Konoha. Inside the comic shop. Fox Mask Envy put down the pirate comic and praised, what a wonderful comic, even if there is no reward, this comic is completely worth the price. Buzz one by one at this moment, a gorgeous light fell, covering the body of Anbu, the Fox Mask. Fox Mask Envy felt a message gradually fill his mind. Soon, the light dissipated. Fox Mask Envy asked curiously, Boss, who am I? Shen Ye said, Crow's unique trick, the spoon, uses the silent step to perform super fast indiscriminate group attacks, so fast that even those who make the move don't know what they will cut. This reward is okay. Fox Mask Envy rejoices. Although it can't be compared with any devil fruit, at least it is a serious reward. Moreover, the speed of this move is so fast that the naked eye can't catch it, and it can be surprisingly successful if used well. Fox Mask Envy gets the reward and leaves. It's over so soon? Isn't that too little? 35 After watching Fairy Tail, Part 1, 4th Raikage's mouth twitched, looking unsatisfied. He had just watched Natsu defeat Gerald in the Tower of Paradise, and a conspiracy from the 6 demon generals gradually surfaced. The 6 demon generals are the first of the 3 major dark guilds that the protagonist will face. This is a proper Gao dynasty plot, but it disappeared as soon as it was given a beginning. Seeing 4th Raikage almost vomited out a mouthful of old blood. Do you want to ecstasy if you break the chapter? At the same time, a system message appears. Customer AI has finished reading Fairy Tail, Part 1 and obtained, Fire Dragon Slayer Magic. Fire Dragon Slayer Magic. The Fire Dragon Slayer magic taught by Ignalo to Natsu has very powerful destructive power. Dragon Slayer magic is a magic that converts the physique of a wizard into that of a dragon, and is used to slay dragons. Dragon Slayers can eat substances corresponding to their magical attributes to restore physical strength, enhance strength, or further gradually unlock dragon abilities. But every Dragon Slayer has a disadvantage, that is, dizzy transportation. After system modification, this magic can be cast by chakra, and swallowing fire-type substances can restore one's own chakra. Actually obtained the ability of the protagonist Natsu? This Raikage's luck, good, is not bad. Shen Ye looked at the system information and his expression moved slightly. Natsu's Fire Dragon Slayer magic is quite powerful even in Fairy Tail. Taught by Ignalu, the Fire Dragon King himself. Moreover, the Fire Dragon Slayer magic can not only eat flames, but also eat lightning of different attributes, and activate the Thunder Flame Dragon mode. Dragon slaying magic is a combination of magic and melee combat. Coupled with the lightning-style chakra mode practiced by Raikage in all dynasties, it can definitely break out the unbelievable terrifying combat power. 4th Raikage looked at Shen Ye and asked with a hint of anticipation, "Boss, I don't know what my reward is." 39 Dragon Slayer Magic. Shen Ye smiled lightly. What? 4th Raikage couldn't help showing a shocked expression. Among the fairy tale, what impressed him the most was the kind of dragon slaying magic. It is the lost magic used to kill the most powerful creature in the legend, the dragon. Chapter 0140. 4th Raikage will not forget. The protagonist Natsu defeats one enemy after another with the Fire Dragon Slayer magic. There is also the former ace wizard of the Ghost Guild, Gajaru, who has joined the Fairy Tail Guild, and possesses the Iron Dragon slaying magic. And Lagoses, the leader of the Thunder Gods in the Fairy Tail Guild, has the magic of thunder and dragon slaying. However, Lagos's dragon slaying magic is different from dragon slayer magicians such as Natsu and Gajaru, who are taught by dragons himself. It is obtained by inserting Dragon Slayer crystals into the body. 2nd generation Dragon Slayer. But just the 3 dragon-killing magics that appear in the comics. Either way is a very powerful ability. I look so dark, how can I be the Emperor of Europe? God gave me black skin, but I use it to find European energy. When a dazzling light fell. 4th Raikage stood in the light and felt a fiery force pouring into his body frantically. He faintly felt like a giant dragon was waking up in his body. The giant dragon stands in the endless sea of fire, screaming in the sky. The dragon is like the sea, like a king of fire kun. A moment, the light dissipates. 4th Raikage's eyes lit up, even with a bit of ecstasy, and said, "It's actually Natsu's Fire Dragon Slayer magic?" 030 Not only Dragon Slayer magic. It's also the Fire Dragon Slayer magic of the protagonist Natsu. He has witnessed the power of Natsu's Fire Dragon Slayer magic in the comics. Another very important point is that Natsu's Fire Dragon Slayer magic can devour thunder and lightning. Activate the Thunder Flame Dragon mode. In Thunder Flame Dragon mode, Natsu's speed and strength will skyrocket. And he is a thunder attribute chakra himself, so he can directly activate Thunder Flame Dragon mode without borrowing thunder and lightning from others like Natsu. This reward simply couldn't be more appropriate for him. 4th Raikage did not hesitate, and directly activated the dragon-killing magic of fire. Suddenly, the fire in his eyes was blazing, flames lingered around his body, his hair was dancing, and an indescribable power radiated out. 4th Raikage felt that his body was filled with a violent power, and he couldn't help but want to fight and sway this violent power. Fire Dragon Slayer magic is only as good as his lightning-style chakra mode. Now he has both abilities. If a layer of lightning-style chakra mode is added, even he doesn't know how strong his physical combat power will be. But he is confident that even 8 taels can completely suppress it. Of course, these 2 abilities cannot be easily superimposed, and the physical requirements are extremely high. With his body that is enough to withstand the transmission of heaven-sent technique, it may not be possible for these two abilities to stack up for long. What an amazing breath! What did he get? It felt great. 35 Feeling the burning sense of oppression emanating from fourth Reikage, the customers in the comic shop were moved, and more envied. Fourth Reikage also knows the proportions, and quickly put away the Fire Dragon Slayer magic, but the excitement is still beyond words. Fourth Reikage's eyes quickly turned to Shen Ye, and waves rolled in his heart. He was even more shocked by the incredibleness of this comic shop than he obtained the Dragon Slayer magic of fire. The Fire Dragon Slayer magic obtained by reading a comic, even surpassed the lightning-style chakra mode that was developed by Reikage after nearly 100 years. Let him this Reikage not know whether to cry or laugh. This is just Fire Dragon Slayer magic. No one knows what other rewards will appear in the comic shop. It is not impossible to directly create an existence comparable to a fairy. This is completely beyond the realm that mortals can imagine. If I had to say anything, it would only be God. Even the unruly, unrestrained Fourth Reikage can't help but shudder at the thought of this. Fourth Reikage walked to the cashier and said in a low voice, I wonder if you have the idea of opening a store in Cloud Shinobi? Whether it's a branch or something. As long as you open a shop in Cloud Shinobi, I guarantee that Cloud Shinobi will, BFFG, dedicate all resources to serve the comic shop. Fourth Reikage, who received the award in person, has thoroughly believed that this comic shop has the energy to control the future of the ninja world. If the comic store can open a store in Cloud Shinobi, even if it is just a branch, it will be a huge opportunity for Cloud Shinobi. Shen Ye said lightly, there is no such plan for the time being. He is very comfortable staying in Konoha now, and he has no idea of moving for the time being. Fourth Reikage said, this promise is always valid no matter when, I hope you will think about it, boss. After that, Fourth Reikage went back without bothering. He knew that in order to befriend Shen Ye, the most important thing was not to cause any bad feelings. He looks rough, but anyone who can serve as the shadow of a village is a person with extraordinary brains, not just by force. This bird doesn't shit king is so funny. In order not to send experience to the protagonist according to the routine, he killed his own men. This brain circuit is really not what ordinary people can think of. 95 Samui has closed the comic book, but he can't stop laughing, and the giant in front of him is turbulent because of his laughter. The key is that there are too many salacious operations and 100,000 bad jokes. It's so new and fun for people in the Hokage world. Omoi on the other side also watched the punch and was still shocked, that king is so powerful, he deserves to be known as the strongest man on the surface. The Imperial engine is really strong. As soon as you sit there, you can make a dong 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 sound, just the momentum is scary enough, and I don't know what kind of scary ability it is. Before the shot, other S-class heroes were already shocked. If it is shot, I don't know how strong it will be. Hearing Omoi's words, Shen Ye smiled in his heart. You won't think so until you know what an Imperial engine is. But king is also in existence with Conqueror's luck. The ability to pick up people's heads in that hand is amazing, if it is the second, no one dares to call it the first. At this time, the system continuously updates two pieces of information. Customer Sam Yi has finished reading 100,000 bad jokes, part 1 and obtained, a bag of salt. A bag of salt, a bag of salt manifested by the unnamed protagonist through spit energy. The main component is sodium chloride, and also contains a small amount of water and impurities and elements such as iron, phosphorus, iodine, etc. Ninja World's suggested retail price, 3.2. Customer Omoi has finished reading One Punch Man Part 1 and obtained, Sexy Prisoner Punching. Sexy Prisoner's Boxing Technique. Sexy Prisoner's fierce boxing technique for capturing beautiful men in the world, with angel form, angel attack, and other moves. Remarks: the sexy prisoner's boxing can only achieve the strongest power if he is naked and naked. Don't be suppressed by clothes. Take it off. Chapter 0141. Buzz. Two dazzling rays of light descended one after another, falling on Samui and Omoi. The light gradually became a real object in Samui's hands. The woman's blue eyes were full of anticipation. Omoi felt a set of punches pouring into his mind. Boxing is not the point. The point is that the person who uses the boxing method is strong but naked, and all kinds of arrogance are sultry. The light quickly dissipated. Samui, who was full of anticipation, looked at the extra bag of salt in his hand, and instantly petrified, and said, "Boss, what is this?" "A bag of salt," Shen Ye said, A bag of salt that the unnamed protagonist manifested with his Toko energy. Samui remembered, in the 10 Cold Doomsday chapter. The unnamed protagonist was transformed into a Toko star, and the first item that appeared was a bag of salt. Wouldn't this be too shabby as a reward? With the last glimmer of hope, Samui asked, "Boss, is this bag of salt different from ordinary salt?" Shen Ye smiled, "Of course it's different." 55 Samui's eyes suddenly glowed. Shen Ye said, "This bag of salt is a 3-nun product." 39 Samui, this explanation is simply suffocating. Omoi finally figured out the reward in his mind, turned his neck like a machine, and said with a complicated mood, "Boss, shouldn't my reward have something to do with that BT prisoner?" Bingo! Shen Ye said, "The power of the sexy prisoner's punches is not bad, but only by breaking the clothes can it exert its maximum power. If you use this ability, you need to bring a few more clothes." 35 Omoi, crying face, "There is a sudden burst of clothes in a fight, what kind of ghost painting style is this NM? I want the Imperial Engine. I want to boom, boom, boom." Except 4th Reikage was very satisfied with the award, Samui and Omoi were both depressed. A bag of 3 without salt. A set of punches that can only be used by bursting clothes. It's simply indescribable. The 3 of them left after reading the comics. Before leaving, Omoi looked back at the comic shop, gritted his teeth and said, "Dong dong dong, wait for me. I will come back to you." Yamanaka Kiki also finished watching the Hulk at this time. Not to mention the lucky draw of a helicopter, it also comes with helicopter piloting skills. If not, Shen Ye suspects that Yamanaka Kiki might perform the crash live. Shen Ye said, "Now that you have the skills to drive a helicopter, you can drive it directly." 35 This reward is amazing. This is much cooler than Luju's sports car, I will go to Luju when I get used to it. When he got this reward, Yamanaka laughed from ear to ear. Although Luju's Porsche 911 is a sports car, it still runs on the ground. Helicopters fly in the sky. As long as he thought of Luju looking up with an envious expression when he saw the helicopter flying over his head, he couldn't help but get excited. Yamanaka Kiki flew away from the manga store in a helicopter. "Wow, what is that? It can fly?" A Konoha shinobi person wearing sunglasses walks into the manga store just in time to see the helicopter leave, shocked and envious. Shen Ye recognized people at a glance. The green leaves of the mountain city. Konoha's special Jainin, and Shiranui Genma have both served as guards for 4th Hokage. Yamashiro Aoba, Shiranui Genma, and Pijule can join forces to cast the Flying Thunder God formation. Although the effect is quite different from 4th Hokage's Flying Thunder God technique, it is already quite rare in the ninja world. Yamashiro Aoba quickly retracted his attention and asked eagerly, "Boss, are there any comics I can read?" He heard Shiranui Genma talking about the comic shop, and out of curiosity, he wanted to try his luck. As a result, as soon as I arrived, I saw Yamanaka Kai watching the helicopter leave, and my heart was even more itchy. Shen Ye pointed at him, "It's all on the bookshelf, choose it yourself." "Okay." Yamashiro Aoba paid 5,000 taels to the bookshelf to select comics, and finally picked One Piece, East Blue, and happily took the comics to read. Shen Ye looked at the system. Counting the Yamashiro Aoba, it was just another chance to draw a new comic. Shen Ye said to the system, "System, extract comics. Start extracting, extracting comics, Street of the Soul, Part 1 Soul Street, Part 1, Soul Street connects the human world and the spiritual realm, it is a place to absorb the undead and suppress evil spirits. Only those who have a guardian spirit can enter the town of Soul Requiem. And on every street of soul suppression, there is a soul-sending person with extraordinary strength as the soul suppression general." Xiaoling was originally an ordinary university intern, but she accidentally broke into Rakshasa Street and met Xiao Yanbing, the soul of Rakshasa Street. Her life was completely changed, and she found out that she also had one guardian spirit, Soul Street. Shen Ye's eyes lit up when he saw the new comics he had drawn. Soul Street can be said to be a super popular national comic in the previous life. Great art, great fighting. The biggest attraction is that the strong men who once existed in the long river of history or myths and legends turned into guardian spirits and came to the world. The guardian spirits in different time and space collide with sparks that make people's blood boil. For example, Guangong and Qin Kaiang and people's jokes have really become a reality in this comic. Also, before Yujin died, he said, the end will come to the ban. I am willing to go through fire and water for the Cao family for generations. Kakuzu and Haiden walked to the manga store. After eating the seafood ramen, Haiden said with an unforgettable expression on his face, "Kakuzu, you don't eat that seafood ramen, I promise you will regret it. This taste is simply unforgettable." Kakuzu said indifferently, "I can't do such a disgusting thing to eat a ramen, hug someone's boss, rub someone's belly with my face, and yell at me." Haiden blushed, "That's a natural expression of love deep down." Kakuzu said, "Also, you borrowed the money for ramen from me. 0 including the previous ones, you owe me a total of 138,175.5 taels. For the sake of us being partners, I don't want that 0.5. Haiden, we are really plastic brothers flowers. Partner for so long, you wipe me 0.5 taels. Has anyone from Xiao's organization come?" Watching Haiden and Kakuzu walk into the comic shop, Shen Ye smiled. Kakuzu glanced at the manga store and said, "We want to read manga. Everyone reads 5,000 taels for the first time, only one book a day, and doubles every time after that." Shen Ye said, "You two have a total of 10,000 taels. 35 10,000. Kakuzu was silent for a moment, then said, "Can I get a discount?" 99. The corner of Shen Ye's mouth twitched, "This store never offers discounts." Kakuzu's love for money is really not an ordinary hobby. So many people come to the comic store, and he is the only one who asks if he can get a discount. Kakuzu saw that there was no discount, so he took out 4,000 taels from his pants kabuto, 3,000 taels from his head scarf, 3,000 taels from his sleeves, and 10,000 taels. Shen Ye was shocked by this operation. "After all, you are also the one who specializes in money management in the Xiao organization." After Kakuzu paid the money, he looked at Haiden and said, "Including the manga reading this time, you owe me 143,175 taels. Hurry up and find a way to pay me back." Haiden was helpless. This is called a rich man, and it is difficult to be a man without money. At this time, a man next to him came over. "Dude, are you in a hurry to use the money? Will the young master of the club do it? What about interest-free loans? Pay a lot of money to ask for a child, understand? Men. 0142. Seeing Haiden's almost murderous look, the man was so frightened that he left immediately. After Kakuzu and Haiden pay the money, they go to choose the manga. I read this. Kakuzu picks up Fairy Tail, Part 1. That's all I have, hehe, this manga looks interesting. Haiden chose the newly released Street of Souls, Part 1. Kakuzu sat on the seat and was quickly drawn in by Fairy Tail. In the comics, all kinds of magic are overwhelmed, and he is even a little dazzled. The guy at Diodera said that the comics in this comic store are super nice, I'll see if there are any, that the guy said. Haiden is looking forward to opening the Requiem Street comic. At the beginning, the boss of the company asked the heroine Xiaoling to go to a place to deliver documents at night. In the end, because she was a spiritual person, she inadvertently penetrated the barrier entrance between reality and Zhenshun Street and came to Rakshasa Street. A group of ancient evil spirit soldiers appeared and surrounded Xiaoling. At this moment, the young man who hit Xiaoling on a motorcycle in the daytime roared, descended from the sky, and made his debut. "Listen up, scumbags. I am the general of Rakshasa Street, and so is Cao Yanbing." Cao Yanbing waved down the 10 temple Yama in his hand and swept away all the evil spirit soldiers. Haiden saw this, his eyes lit up, and excitedly said, "This Cao Yanbing's debut is very handsome, and his personality is quite arrogant, ha ha ha, I like it." Haiden continued to watch. The general of the evil spirit army appeared at this time, his arm was fused with a monster python, and even Cao Yanbing was repelled by the monster python. Just as the evil spirit general was uttering wild words, Cao Yanbing dismissed it and said proudly, "My guardian spirit is already very impatient with you. Isn't it, Su Chu?" Behind Cao Yanbing, the power of his soul is burning like a raging fire. A stalwart figure slowly stood up. The stalwart figure's eyes are blazing, Kamui is arrogant, grabs his hand into the void, and condenses a giant hammer. Bang, one by one. When the hammer fell, the leader of the evil spirit was instantly killed. Soaring flames illuminated half of the street. Cao Yanbing looked at the frightened evil spirit soldiers around him, and said lightly, "I have the final say on this street. Who else wants to be arrogant, just go ahead and try." This scene made Haydn excited, I like this comic. It's fun to watch. 35 Shen Ye smiled upon seeing this. The plot of Seoul Town Street is based on blood and refreshing, and it is not surprising that Haydn will like this character. And the real beauty is still behind. There is more than one guardian spirit in Cao Yanbing's body, Su Chu. Dian Wei, Xia Haiwan, Xia Hedun, Su Huang, these former Cao Wei fierce generals came out one after another, and that was an enjoyable experience. Near noon, Shen Ye went to the kitchen to simply fry 2 dishes. After dinner, drink a cup of mellow black tea. Shen Ye sat leisurely on the seat, sipping black tea. At this time, Ching Cheng Yamaha finished reading the manga. System information refresh. Customer Yamashiro Aoba has finished reading One Piece, East Blue, and obtained Live Phone Bug Set. Live Phone Bug Set contains a video phone bug and a project phone bug. Both are a species of the pirate world specific creature phone bug. Video phone worms can transmit images and sounds seen by the eyes through specific bioelectric waves. Then it is projected through the eyes of the projection phone bug to achieve the effect of real-time live broadcast. That's pretty interesting stuff. 9 Shen Ye rubbed his chin. This kind of phone bug that can transmit video and audio is also a very high-end phone bug in the world of pirates. Usually only the more important things are used. On Summit War, the battle between Naval Headquarters and Whitebeard was broadcast live. On Punk Hazard, Guy scatters to sell the biochemical weapon Death Nation developed to the dark forces of all parties, and it was also broadcast live. One a dazzling light fell. The light turned into 2 phone bugs in front of Yamashiro Aoba. The telephony bug is only bigger than a fist. Screen phone bugs are almost as tall as people. Looking at the 2 snail-like creatures in front of him, Shancheng King Yi said stunned, "Boss, these 2 are phone bugs?" He had seen the phone bug in the comics, and it was amazing. 2 people can have a conversation no matter how far apart they are. However, these 2 phone bugs are clearly different from the comics. Shen Ye said, the small one is called the video phone bug, and the big one is called the projection phone bug. The video phone worm can see the video and transmit it to the video phone worm. The show phone bug will then receive the video to play. People on the side of the video phone bug can simultaneously know what's happening on the side of the video phone bug. So smart? Yamashiro Aoba surprises. This is equivalent to the information of the other party of the master at the first time. If it is on the battlefield, it has high value. Shen Ye suddenly thought of something interesting and said, I can recommend you a career, and I guarantee you will make money. What? Yamashiro Aoba showed anticipation. Shen Ye laughed, you can be an anchor. Anchor? 35 Aoba Yamashiro heard this word for the first time and wondered, what is the anchor? Shen Ye said, you use the phone bug to live broadcast in real time and share the interesting things you encounter with the audience on the other side. Hearing Shen Ye's words, Shancheng King Yi's eyes gradually lit up and said, the boss is amazing, it's interesting to think about it. But Yamashiro Aoba scratched his head, but this doesn't make any money, do I charge the person who watches it? What do you charge for? All you need to do is to increase popularity in the early stage. Shen Ye said, as long as your live broadcast is popular and traffic increases, you can use the live broadcast to sell goods or introduce advertisements. I believe there will be many businesses willing to pay you to advertise. Boss, how did you come up with such a profitable idea? Too strong. You are simply the god of business. Shancheng King Yi is also very smart. After Shen Yi's little call, he immediately smelled the huge business opportunity contained in the live broadcast, and almost jumped with excitement. Use live broadcasts to increase popularity, then promote products and introduce advertisements? This trick is so stupid. Forbearance 5.6 has never seen such a novelty. As long as you do the live broadcast well, according to the routine that Shen Ye said, it will be popular. Shen Ye chuckled lightly. In the past life, any host who randomly picked out a host did this. However, being able to be so popular is enough to show that this trick works well. Especially in a world like Hokage where live streaming has never been done before. As soon as it came out, the effect definitely exploded. The reason why he gave Yamashiro Aoba this advice was mainly because he thought it would be fun, it was as simple as that. Shancheng King Yi then asked Shen Ye some questions. Shen Ye told him some basics of live broadcast, and some live broadcast terms of previous life. Boss, wait for my live broadcast to become popular. I will never forget your promotion. Yamashiro Aoba, with 2 phone bugs, left the comic shop ecstatically to find the same, and wanted to do a live broadcast with him. 0143. It's been over an hour so soon. Haydn looked at the time after reading the manga and couldn't help being surprised. He was so invested in it that he didn't realize that time passed so quickly. However, it was really fun to watch. The arrogant and unruly character of the protagonist, Cao Yanbing, suits him very well. In the chapter of Luhua Ancient Building, the scene where the 5 guardian spirits Su Chu, Dian Wei, Xia Dun, Xia Yuan, and Su Huang appear together is even more exciting. Even though nearly 2,000 years have passed, they are still Cao Wei tigers. They still fight for their faith. Just like the sentence Yujin said before his death, the end will come to the ban, I am willing to go through fire and water for the generations of the Cao family. 0. This is true of every guardian spirit in the comics. They once existed in this world, and they came back only for the fetters in the long river of time. At this time, system information refresh. Customer Haydn has finished reading Soul Street, Part 1 and obtained, Guardian Spirit, Shi Lingming Guardian Spirit Shi Lingming the Guardian Spirit transformed by the Lingming Stone Monkey in myths and legends, holding a Pan-Longbin iron rod, and he is brave and brave in the world. Shi Lingming? Shen Ye was slightly surprised when he saw Haydn's reward. Shi Lingming's 15 questions is undoubtedly based on the Monkey King in Journey to the West. He is the guardian spirit of Fomalhaut in the protagonist group, and his strength is quite powerful. Haydn's fighting method is to rely on his immortality, and use the evil god ritual to self-mutilate when he gets the blood of the enemy. It can be said that Haydn's strength is the most erratic in Hokage. As long as he gets blood, let him do this, and Cage level has to die. If there is no blood, or the Thulhu ritual cannot be used, the only strength left is the unremarkable physical art. However, with the guardian spirit, Haydn's strength has almost skyrocketed. If it can achieve a high degree of fit with Shi Lingming and use a special fusion, then the physical skills will be greatly enhanced. Haydn ran over impatiently and asked, "Boss, what is my reward?" "This reward, go outside and prepare to receive it," Shen Ye said. Haydn's eyes lit up when he heard the words, "What kind of big guy? Hey, I'll go right now." Haydn came to the street, and a bright light suddenly fell behind him. Brilliant surging room, a giant haki shadow condensed out. Haydn turned his head. I saw a god ape holding a long iron stick and wearing a mighty armor standing proudly. In the fiery eyes, there is a wild demeanor that looks at all living beings. Haydn recognized Shi Lingming and said with surprise, "This is the guardian spirit of Fomalhaut, Shi Lingming? This is my reward?" 35 That's right. Shen Ye nodded. My reward turned out to be a guardian spirit. Ha ha ha. Haydn was overjoyed, stretched out his fist to Shi Lingming, and said with a smile, "My name is Haydn. From now on, you will be my guardian spirit, and I will be your spiritual sender. My name, Shi Lingming." 35 Shi Lingming also stretched out his fist and Haydn's fist to meet. At this moment, both sides have a feeling of mutual understanding. Then Shi Lingming turned into an aura that didn't enter Haydn's body. Haydn tried it out, and he could communicate with Shi Lingming with his consciousness, and he was even happier. When he read the manga, he thought that it would be great if he had a guardian spirit too. Unexpectedly, now the fantasy has come true. With Shi Lingming, his strength is more than just 1 + 1 = 2. Haydn smiled, "If Deidara knew about my reward, I'd probably die of envy, ha ha ha." Kakuzu also finished reading the fairy tale manga at this time and praised, "The world full of magic is really interesting." System information refresh. Customer Kakuzu has finished reading Fairy Tale, Part 1 and obtained, Receive Magic, a high-level magic that transforms into a corresponding existence by receiving non-human beings such as animals, monsters, and even gods. Mirage Satan's soul and Elfman's Beastmaster's soul are all completed by receiving magic. If the received existence is beyond the scope of its own strength, it will be strongly backlashed, and even death. Mirage's kind of magic. Shen Ye showed curiosity. Receiving magic is undoubtedly a top-level magic in the fairy tale world. With this magic, Mirage received the demon Satan, the demon Shutli, and even the demon Sira in the Book of Jerf. Then has the same ability to transform into the received demon. One of the war concubine Demaria Yesta, one of the 12 shields, used this magic to receive Kronos, the god of time, and thus possessed the terrifying ability to control time. Even the gods can receive it, which shows the power of this magic. Of course, if you want to receive a stronger existence, you also need to have a stronger strength. If it exceeds the range of receiving ability, it will be like Elfman, and will go berserk because of receiving the Beastmaster, and even his sister Lysina will attack. It seems that Kakuzu was lucky enough to get this magic. A light fell. Kakuzu's body was shrouded in light, and light flickered in his eyes. After a while, the light dissipated. Kakuzu looked at Shen Ye and asked with doubt, "This is receive magic?" Shen Ye said, "The magic of Mirage. I remember, it was a very powerful magic." Kakuzu's eyes brightened. When he first read the comics, he thought Mirage was just a frail beauty to receive. Who knew that Mirage was actually an S-class demon 030 guide of fairy tale? Once transformed, the combat power is terrifyingly powerful. He actually obtained her kind of magic? Even Kakuzu, an antique figure in the ninja world, couldn't help being a little excited. Both Kakuzu and Haiden received extremely satisfying rewards. Haiden said, "Boss, we will help you to promote it when we go back, this comic shop is so helpful, they will all like it." Shen Ye smiled, "That's good. Goodbye boss." Kakuzu and Haiden leave the manga shop. Not long after the two left, a genin just finished reading the manga of the prudent hero. At the same time, a message emerges. Customer Koichiro Yamaguchi has finished reading. This brave man is obviously super strong, but he is too cautious, and obtained Dungeon Demon Castle Dungeon, Demon King City, the place where the final Demon King of the S-level difficulty world Gabrandi is located. The Demon King and his 4 subordinates, Uranus, are entrenched here, please go and conquer them. Killing each Uranus can get 10,000 experience rewards, and killing the Demon King can get 100,000 experience rewards. Experience increases proficiency in a skill or ability. The winner has 2 selection modes, 1 clear the Demon King City dungeon alone to get all the rewards. 2 release the copy of Demon King City and gain 10,000 experience points. Chapter 0144. This is a copy. Looking at the reward information, Shen Ye showed curiosity. The prudent hero is indeed somewhat similar to the theme of online games. Not only attribute templates, but also data-based grades and attributes. Experience can be gained from training or killing monsters. But I didn't expect the system to directly create a copy, from which you can brush the experience. Experience can improve proficiency. This alone is enough to attract countless ninjas. Just imagine, in the past, those abilities that could not be learned or took a long time to master, now there is a way to make them easy to master in an instant, saving all the problems of qualification and time. How could you not be moved? Buzz one by one a splendid light fell from the void. It landed on the genin's hand and turned into a red card. The image of a black castle was branded on the card, and there were bursts of sinister and evil aura. Genin asked nervously, "Boss, what is this reward I got?" Shen Ye explained to him, "The reward you got is a bit special. This is a copy of the Demon King Castle where the protagonist Ryogan Cea finally went to brush the Demon King. There are the Demon King and the Demon King's army for Uranus, as well as thousands of Demon King's army. You can choose to play by yourself, you need to defeat the Demon King and 4 Uranus alone, and you can get all the experience after success. Experience can be used to increase proficiency in any ability. You can also choose to share the copy, let others play, and you directly gain 10,000 experience points." Genin quickly understood what Shen Ye meant, just hesitated, and said, "I choose to publish a copy." Instead, he wanted to brush the Demon King City dungeon by himself. However, he had read the comics and knew that even if there were just 4 Uranus at random, he would not be able to deal with it. To brush by yourself is simply to die. Might as well publish it, you can directly get 10,000 points of experience. Shen Ye nodded, not surprised by the choice of the name Genin. Publishing a copy is indeed the most suitable choice for him, and said, "You use the consciousness communication card, tell it, you want to publish a copy." The genin slowly closed his eyes and communicated with the card. At this time, there is a mechanical sound. "Excuse me, do you choose to publish a copy of Demon King City?" "Yes." "The release is successful, you will get 10,000 experience points." That genin gained 10,000 experience points. At the same time, a sound full of sci-fi texture reverberated over the entire Konoha. Dungeon of Demon King City is open. Killing the characters in the dungeon can get EXP rewards, each 4 Uranus rewards 10,000 EXP, and the Demon King rewards 100,000 EXP. Experience can be used to increase the proficiency of any skill or ability. You can form a team in the copy, and the maximum number of people in the team is 3 people. The dungeon is about to open, please prepare for the brave warriors who want to download the dungeon, the sound echoed in every corner of Konoha. A stone stirs up 1,000 waves, the whole Konoha was completely boiling because of this sound. Copy? What is that? It must be something from a comic store. By killing the monsters in the dungeon, you can still gain experience. Can the experience be used to master those super difficult ninjutsu? This thing called experience is too powerful. Flying Thunder God technique is because the cultivation method is too esoteric and complicated, and no one has been able to learn it since 4th Hokage. If you can have experience, then even Genin can master Flying Thunder God technique. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Form a team and go to the dungeon. Take me. I'm a medical ninja, I can heal. 35 I'm an earth-style ninja, I know the stone armor technique, and I can give you damage resistance. Konoha shinobi move quickly. In an instant, they all swarmed in the direction of the comic shop. The 3 of 4th Raikage who were about to leave Konoha also stopped. 4th Raikage looked back in the direction of the comic shop, his eyes were burning, and he showed a warlike expression, exactly. The Fire Dragon Slayer magic I just acquired still needs to be practiced. If you have experience, you can save the time for practice. Let's go too. The next copy of the experience is very exciting to hear. Samui and Omoi were a little excited. Although there is no good reward in the comic shop, it is worthwhile to earn some experience. Hey, Kakuzu, did you hear that? 35 Haiden picked up the bloody march scythe behind him and said excitedly, we are really lucky to have the experience to improve our skills this time. Kakuzu also showed expectant eyes and said, let's go, my receiving magic needs to be improved. And there are monsters from other world there, just let me test the effect of receiving magic. Haiden's eyes were hot and he said, Shiling Ming, we can fight here. 35 behind Haiden, a ghostly ape loomed, holding a stick, disrespecting the gods and demons, and said lightly, then fight. 35 He looked at the giant projection phone bug with drooping eyelids in front of him and swallowed, Aoba, are you sure this thing can really transmit the sound and image from the other side? Yamashiro Aoba said, are you suspicious of the manga shop owner? That's not it. He shook his head immediately. That comic shop produced it, it must be the real thing. This has long been a consensus among Konoha. Shancheng King Yi said, similar, please help me think about it, what is the live broadcast to attract popularity? 35 They said the same thing, throwing a shuriken on a live broadcast? Or a live broadcast of practicing ninjutsu? You are not creative. Shancheng King Yi shook his head, the boss said that the live broadcast is all about new ideas, and it must be the kind that makes people's eyes shine, so that it can attract good audiences just now. He was almost mad, you suddenly made me think of something like this that I've never heard of before, how could I possibly come up with it? At this time, the sound of publishing a copy sounded. Shancheng King Yi said stunned, Dungeon of Demon King City? What kind of magical reward is this? Have it. He slammed the palm of his hand with the same fist and said, you can broadcast this copy live. Live copy? Shancheng King Yi's eyes widened, and he said happily, this is a good idea. Entering the copy, there must be many ninjas fighting. And the enemy is the demon lord from the other world. Ninja versus the demon king of another world, the name sounds very attractive to talents. Ha ha ha. Just live this one. 35 Shancheng King Yi said, similar, you organize the broadcast here, I will go to the copy of Demon King City now. Saying that, Yamashiro Aoba immediately ran towards the comic shop. Chapter 0145. Sister. Let's go brush the copy. In the Hyuga family mansion, Hanabi, who was exchanging training with Hinata, stopped immediately when he heard the sound. Good. 35 Hinata nodded. Hyuga Hayashi came over and said excitedly, just right, the 3 of us will form a team together. Don't want. With a look of disgust, Hanabi said, Father, you always come up with that kind of messy stuff. We are in a team with you. If you suddenly come again like this, we will be ashamed. 99 Hyuga Hayashi almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Is this what I think? I am the biggest victim. Hyuga Hayashi looked at Hinata, Hinata, don't you talk about Hanabi. Hinata whispered, Hanabi, you can't say that about father. Hyuga Hayashi moved. Sure enough, the eldest daughter knows how to feel sorry for herself. Hinata continued, look at the village now, who doesn't know that his father is like this, but no one speaks in front of his father. Hyuga Hayashi, I lost it. Hinata and Hanabi just went out when they met Yuhaka and Hanabiman. Hanabi hugged Yuhaka and said with a smile, Mr. Hong, let's form a team together. Hong Yui stroked the top of Hanabi's head and smiled sweetly, okay. Hyuga Hayashi covered Hungarian's mouth, feeling heartache after wave. Konoha Hospital. This is an elixir refined by this old man, you too try it. 35 Yao Lao's soul body floated in the air, spread out his hands, there were 2 black medicinal pills. This is a kind of medicinal pill that he has tested the medicinal properties of hundreds of medicinal materials, which can greatly accelerate the healing of wounds. It's not just Sarutobi Hiruzen and Asuma in the ward. There are also the director of Konoha Hospital and more than a dozen expert medical ninjas. I heard that there are alchemy masters from other worlds, and they all came here to study. Seeing the medicine pill in the hands of Yao Lao, a piece of Mediterranean brain with white flowers immediately came over. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Asuma looked at each other and took the medicine at the same time. The medicinal pill melted in the mouth and turned into a pure medicinal force, and the wounds of the 2 people began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. It worked. Amazing healing speed, faster than healing jutsu. Old man, this is the first time in my life that I have seen such a powerful healing medicine. Except for Tsunade, few people in the ninja world can do such a precise internal organ repair, and it is unexpected that it can be done with just a small pill. A group of medical experts were stunned and shocked. The dean was even more shocked and said inexplicably, and such a miraculous healing medicine, BFFG, was actually researched by Yao Lao in just 2 hours. This group of medical experts no longer know how to use words to describe their mood at the moment. From quickly mastering the medicinal properties of hundreds of medicinal materials, matching them according to medicinal properties, and then refining them, all this was actually completed in just 2 hours. And it's still so terrible. It sounds like a fantasy. A group of people looked at Yao Lao with admiration in their eyes. Boss, do you still have leg hair? If there is no lack of leg hair, is there a lack of pendants for the leg hair? Yao Lao stroked his beard lightly and said with a light smile, this is nothing. For Yao Lao, the top refiner of the Dochi continent, Yakushi, it takes a long time to explore and try to develop a high-quality medicine pill. However, it is not too easy to just refine a medicinal pill that is used to heal the body of ordinary people. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw that the wound was almost healed soon, and gratefully said, your medical skills are the first person I have ever seen in my life, it is the chance for this child that Konohamaru recognizes you. Knowing Yao Lao's abilities, he wanted to use Konohamaru's relationship to win Yao Lao. Yao Lao saw through Sarutobi Hiruzen's thoughts at a glance, but only made a few polite words on the surface. At this time, the sound of the copy being released came. Everyone's expressions changed. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face sank, and said, Dungeon fight monsters, reward experience. It seems to be something from that comic store again. Moreover, this time the reward can actually allow so many people to participate, which is the first time I have met. When Konohamaru listened to the copy, he excitedly said, Grandpa, it's such a fun thing, let's go. If you're late, you'll be preempted by others. Experience is really useful. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a while, then grabbed the black ninja and said, let's go and have a look. A giant black castle is suspended above Konoha. The black mist shrouded in the air, and the devilish energy filled it, almost covering half of Konoha. In the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south of the castle, 4 space gates hang down, leading directly to the inside of the castle. If you still lack someone who is good at defense, just book. Medical Ninja. Medical Ninja. I am a special Jainin in fire style, please form a team. The ninjas who had not formed a team in front of the space gate shouted. There are constantly formed teams entering the space door. Some self-confident people even entered the Demon King city alone. Hello everyone, I'm the anchor Aoba. Yamashiro Aoba stood in front of the space gate on the east side, and said to the video phone bug in his hand, presumably many old irons have already discovered this black castle above the village. That's right, this is the copy that just appeared from this brave man is obviously super strong but too cautious, Demon King City. There are already a large number of ninjas pouring into it, and the battle must be very fierce. However, many ordinary villagers wanted to see what was going on inside, but did not dare to enter such a dangerous battlefield. It doesn't matter. Next, I will broadcast the real-time battle screen in the Demon King City dungeon for everyone. Old irons who like my live broadcast, please remember our live broadcast location. Now, please enter the copy with me. This kind of snail is so powerful that it can also transmit images and sounds from other places. It is said that this is a phone bug from the pirate comics. It's amazing. It will be interesting to come here and watch the live broadcast when you have nothing to do. Everyone here, I just want to ask, what is Lao Tai? In front of the huge screen projected by the phone bug, a large group of people gathered around. I heard that Aoba of Yamashiro was able to live broadcast the battle situation in the Demon King City dungeon in real time, which immediately attracted many onlookers. And looking at the trend, the number of people is still increasing. After all, the vast majority of Konoha are ordinary people, and it is impossible for them to enter the dungeon, but it is not bad to be able to see what is going on inside through the live broadcast. Demon King City, East Gate. 4th Raikage, Samui and Amwa entered the Demon King's castle. Hundreds of Konoha shinobi people are fighting fiercely with the Demon King's army. There were more than 10 Konoha shinobi corpses lying on the ground, as well as several times as many corpses of the Demon King's army. However, the Demon King's army was still pouring in, as if they couldn't kill them all. A skeleton with 3 eyes stood behind the Demon King's army, holding a staff, and said with a wicked smile, "Humans who are too self-sufficient should all fall at the feet of the Demon King." At this moment, 4th Raikage came towards Desmagura. Desmagula said with a wicked smile, "Human, are you also here to die?" 4th Raikage said indifferently, "It's your life value of 10,000 experience points, I'm welcome." How arrogant! Desmagula was enraged, waved his staff, and said, "Return to ashes." The flames of hell. In an instant, a faint green flame rushed out from the staff, with a fiery wave, rushing towards 4th Raikage frantically. 4th Raikage's mouth twitched. Fire magic? Exactly, let me try the Fire Dragon Slayer. Magic. Chapter 0146. 4th Raikage opened his mouth and swallowed the flames of hell that flooded the sky. Desmagula was startled at first, and then sneered, "Idiot, actually want to eat my hell flames? I'm really looking for..." However, before he could finish speaking, a scene that shocked his jaw appeared. 4th Raikage's mouth was like a black hole, sucking all the flames of the majestic hell into his mouth. 4th Raikage rubbed the corner of his mouth, as if he had just eaten a big meal, and smiled at Desmagura, "Your flame tastes good." 35 How is it possible? Seeing that his own flames of hell not only failed to cause any harm, but were eaten completely, Desmagula said in horror, "How can you eat my flames? You may not know that there is something called Fire Dragon Slayer magic." The fire flashed in 4th Raikage's eyes, and suddenly, blazing flames erupted from his body. The man's body is like an iron tower, glaring with anger, and the flames are lingering, just like a majestic fire, King Kong. Bang! 4th Raikage stepped on his foot, and instantly turned into a dazzling fire and rushed out. Condensed the power of infinite flame in the fist. The fist suddenly burst into a blazing fire, and the flame behind him vaguely condensed the phantom of a giant dragon flapping its wings. Fire dragons! Iron Fist! Desmagula turned pale in horror and hurriedly summoned a flame familiar. The flame demon was several meters tall, and with a roar, the flames trembled, and it also punched 4th Raikage. 2 equally fiery fists slammed together. Boom! The flames spread out like a tidal wave. The heat wave filled a space. The flames caused the demon's body to shatter continuously, and then, a bang burst open. Among the swaying sea of fire, 4th Raikage came slowly, and the corner of his mouth twitched. "This gadget is not fun, do you have something stronger?" 39 North Gate. A 6-armed demon with a stern expression, each of which holds 6 weapons, with a murderous aura. 6-armed demons run amok among the Konoha shinobi. Wherever he passed, the sword light was everywhere. The blood was sprayed incessantly, like a rain of blood. At this time, a figure descended from the sky, and the clogs kicked the 6-armed demon back. However, the figure also staggered a few steps. The 6-armed demon sneered, "Human, is that only your power?" 35 The corner of Jiraiya's mouth twitched, and she said embarrassedly, "I watched too many movies just now, and the inventory was emptied, and my physical strength couldn't keep up." 35 But when she thinks of those movies on the computer, Jiraiya can't help but feel a surge in her heart. These teachers who dedicated themselves to art have taken so many films in order to be able to immortalize the world and be admired by the world. Don't see. If you don't watch it, you don't respect art. Jiraiya turned her head at this moment and saw Danzo standing there with a gloomy face. Indifferently watched the many Konoha shinobi rush up to be killed, without any change in expression. Shiranui Genma also came. Jiraiya coughed and said, "Well, I just practiced too much, this monster will be handed over to you too." Danzo said coldly, "Let's leave it to you young people." His main target was the Demon King with 100,000 experience, and he didn't want to waste his strength here. Shiranui Genma gritted his teeth and said, "I can deal with this monster, but once I transform, it will be very unstable." Danzo heard that Shiranui Suinma was going to transform, his face changed suddenly, and he took a step back. He clearly remembered how he was ravaged by the green monster that Shiranui Genma transformed into last night. Fortunately, Shiranui Shenjian turned into a monster and couldn't remember what happened, otherwise he would be embarrassed to stand here. Jiraiya wondered, how unstable? Before Jiraiya asked, Shiranui Genma's skin had already appeared green, and his body had grown sharply. Bang! Jiraiya just finished asking, and was punched away by Hulk. Danzo couldn't help but laugh. "Let you ask, they." Hulk looked over. Danzo's expression froze for a moment. Bang! Hulk grabbed Danzo and slammed it hard on the ground. "Danzo, 0, tigers don't show their power, do you take me as a sick cat?" Danzo stood up immediately, the breath of the superior spread out, "I don't know the fire Shenjian, don't think I am." Bang! Bang! Hulk grabbed and smashed again. "Danzo I'm telling you, meow now," fights are raging in the Demon King castle. Konoha shinobi kept pouring into the dungeon, and quickly killed the 4 Uranus of the Demon King's army. Afterwards, they all flocked to the place where the Demon King was located in the center of Demon King City. Deep in the castle, on the cold and tall throne, a figure in a gorgeous black robe sat on it, holding his cheek with one hand, with arrogance and indifference in his eyes. "Heroes, this demon lord is here waiting for you to challenge." 99 As you have seen just now, the 4 Uranus of the Demon King's army have all been killed, and only the demon lord of the final boss is left. 35 Yamashiro Aoba said to the video phone bug, "This is the live broadcast that the anchor Aoba has brought to everyone at risk, and those who like it must pay more attention to my live broadcast." "Well then, let's." Yamashiro Aoba was saying. Suddenly, a louder and louder evil voice came from the front. "I love you, oh, I love you little darling, you are great. Don't stop. Anyone here to discuss the origin of life?" 0, Shan Cheng King Yi looked stunned. The tens of thousands of viewers in front of the projection phone bug were also suffocated. Everyone else is killing monsters, but there are still people who have the time to do this here? Do you like hunting so much? At this time, Danzo came out of the darkness, wiped the corner of his mouth, and had a fed look on his face. Just got hammered again by the Hulk, and can only take a breath to reply. It's just that the one who was manipulated into the dream state just now was so good at barking, it gave him goosebumps. Suddenly, Danzo froze when he saw Yamashiro Aoba who was holding a video phone bug. Danzo, it was embarrassing to be seen. Yamashiro Aoba, it was obviously another man's voice just now, why is it Danzo who appeared now? Could it be that? There is so much information, I have to take a good look at it. Cough cough. One Danzo coughed to relieve the embarrassment, and said with a cold face, "You know what to say." As long as Yamashiro Aoba promises not to talk nonsense, he doesn't want to attack the former. Shan Cheng King Yi turned pale with fright, and his heart beat faster. What to say? Shouldn't this old guy? That's too disgusting, isn't it? But if I don't tell, will he kill me? Shan Cheng King Yi's complexion changed and changed, but in the end, the desire to survive prevailed, and he resisted the numbness and said, "I love you, oh, I love you little baby, you are great. Don't stop. Danzo, __number. You are calling a ghost. Do I trademark mean this? Door. Chapter 0147. The passage to the Demon King's palace. Ha ha ha, this experience is really useful. Haiden carried the bloody march scythe with a look of excitement, and said to Kakuzu, "I have now mastered a special fusion with the guardian spirit. If we even kill that demon lord, the experience will be 10 times that of the demon just now. It's cool to think about. Killing Desmagora, both of them gain 7,000 experience. Desmagura's experience is 10,000, but if you form a team, you will get a higher bonus than the average experience. Haydn added all the experience to the fit with the guardian spirit, and directly reached the point where he could have a special fusion with Shi Lingming. His fighting style has always relied heavily on taijutsu. And the special fusion with Shi Lingming can greatly strengthen his all-round ability. Kakuzu's tone also carried a rare trace of anticipation, saying, I can also receive an extra Demon King with 030, which is a good deal. 99 Kakuzu adds experience to receiving magic. He found that his grievances could actually be transformed into monsters that received magic. Kakuzu was ecstatic in his heart. Originally, his fighting power was not strong. However, as long as you use the receiving magic, you can obtain the same power as the received target. As long as he receives 4 cage-level non-human beings, it is equivalent to 4 more cage-level clones. How powerful is that? Resentment and receiving magic are a perfect match. Both of them have tasted the sweetness of experience, and they are determined to gain 10 times the experience dropped by killing the Demon King. At this moment, footsteps were also heard from the other end of the passage. Haydn and Kakuzu stop. In the dark, several figures walked out. It's Sarutobi Hiruzen, Asuma, Konohamaru, and Yao Lao. Seeing the two of Kakuzu, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face quickly sank, and he said coldly, You are not Konoha's ninjas. That black robe with red clouds floating, could it be? Are you Xiao? Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart was solemn. He had long thought that as long as the comic shop spread, all forces in the ninja world would be unable to hold back. But he didn't expect that the Xiao organization would find out so early. For this organization, even he has deep fear. Dawn. Asuma was startled. It was the first time he had heard of this name. Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly, a mysterious employment organization that accepts any entrustment as long as it is given money. It seems that all the members are S-rank rebels. He also knew very little about Xiao, and this organization was too mysterious. S-class betrayal. Asuma looked at Kakuzu and Haydn again, and his expression became serious. S-level rebellion is almost equal to having the strength of cage level. Such a person is a well-deserved top combat power in any village. Hey, you know a lot, Third Hokage. 35 Haydn said with a bit of arrogance, but we are in a hurry now, and we have no time to waste with you, so let's get out of the way. This is Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly, dangerous people with unknown intentions like you must be taken down here. Then let's experience Third Hokage, who is known as a ninjutsu professor. 35 Kakuzu said indifferently, it's been a long time since the last time I fought Konoha shinobi, who is Hokage just like you. Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression moved. How old is this guy? Still playing first Hokage or second Hokage? Sarutobi Hiruzen said to Konohamaru, Konohamaru, leave this to me and Asuma, you and Yao Lao go to the Demon King. Konohamaru was startled then nodded, and Yao Lao left. Haydn dragged the bloody march sickle towards Sarutobi Hiruzen, sputtering sparks on the ground, with a frenzy like a mad believer on his face, and said with a strange smile, the evil god is probably very satisfied with you coming as a sacrifice, Third Hokage. You are too tender to take my life. Sarutobi Hiruzen made a mark on both hands, slapped the ground, and shouted, summoning technique. With a bang sound, white smoke rose from the ground. A white-haired ape was summoned. The white-haired ape is as tall as a human, with arms folded with both hands and a rebellious face. Kakuzu reminded Haydn, that's the summoning beast of Third Hokage, the Monkey King and the Monkey Demon. Its body is comparable to steel and its strength is very strong. Don't be careless. 5 Ape Demon summons an iron rod. The wind swung up and swept towards Haydn. Right at this moment, the power of the soul surging behind Haydn. A proud figure of divine brilliance walked out, as if torn apart from hell. The figure of divine brilliance also held a coiled dragon iron rod and smashed it with a mighty force. Bang! 2 iron rods, one large and one small, slammed into each other. The terrifying force from the collision of the 2 iron bars shattered the ground and turned into a rolling wave that rushed around. The ground cracked into dense black fissures in the shape of cobwebs. The ape demon felt that the giant force on the iron rod of the coiled dragon was rushing violently like a tsunami, and it stopped after being slammed out more than 10 meters. This is... Ape demon looked at Shi Lingming behind Haydn with shock on his face. Sarutobi Hiruzen was shocked. How is this possible? Shi Lingming and Ape Demon are so similar. Also monkeys. Same white hair, black skin. Same with sticks. The same wild and rebellious. Is this just a coincidence? The monkey demon snorted coldly. Are you also a monkey family? Shi Lingming danced the iron rod with the coiled dragon in his hand, pointed at the ape demon, and said proudly, I am Shi Lingming. I was born with a stone monkey. Stone monkey. The war spirit ignited in the ape demon's heart, and he hummed, then let me learn how powerful the monkey that jumped out of the stone is. The ape demon jumped sharply, his body spun at high speed in the air, and then the iron rod fell head on. Boom! Boom! Ape demon and Shi Lingming, two amazing monkeys, fight. The rocks cracked and the ground cracked, and there was a loud rumbling. The ape demon has the indestructible body of King Kong, and is invulnerable to swords and guns. Although Shi Lingming is huge, he is extremely flexible, and his strength is amazing. 5.6 Gradually, the ape demon was suppressed by Shi Lingming. Haiden smiled evilly, Third Hokage, your monkey doesn't seem to be as good as mine. 35 Humph, it's too early to say that. Sarutobi Hiruzen snorted, pulled out the zanpakut from his waist, and shouted, Bankai Black Ropes King Ming. A majestic Ryotsu Uzumaki condensed behind Sarutobi Hiruzen. King Ming, wearing black armor and holding a giant blade, slowly emerged from the Uzumaki. Ming Wangweian's body broke through this small castle and looked down at Haiden, exuding bursts of majesty that made people feel heart-pounding. The fox mask Enbu, who just came to support, saw King Ming and said to the other Konoha shinobi, it's that monster. The monster from last time has appeared again. Big. When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this, he manipulated King Ming and turned around and kicked Enbu, the fox mask, into the air. Empty. I have endured you for a long time. Chapter 0148. Looking up at Ming Wang, who seemed to be standing above the sky, Haiden's eyes showed a fanatical fighting intent. Is this also a reward I got from a comic shop? Hey, that's interesting. Shi Lingming. Hearing Haiden's call, Shi Lingming immediately abandoned the ape demon and returned behind Haiden. Shi Lingming and Kongwu stretched out his arms and let out a cry of brilliance, turning into a bright light that enveloped Haiden. Until the light fades away, a proud body more than 2 meters high was revealed. The armor is stern, and the white hair dances wildly. His eyes looked like blood moons. Holding a blood-colored scythe, the killing aura is terrifying. Does this guy still have such means? Sarutobi Hiruzen's face shuddered. The special fusion of Haiden is obviously more than a bit stronger than just now. He clearly felt a sense of danger. Haiden pointed the blood-red scythe towards Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the corner of his mouth raised an evil smile. Suddenly, with a stomping, the ground shattered, turning into an afterimage and rushing away. The speed is so fast that even the naked eye can't keep up. Drink! Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression changed, he shouted loudly, and chopped off with a knife. Sarutobi Hiruzen swung the sword, and the King Ming behind him also synchronized with his movements, and the 40-meter-long black huge sword slashed towards Haiden. As the giant sword passed by, the wind whistled, as if thousands of evil ghosts were crying. Boom! The blood-red 15 scythe and the black giant knife violently intersect. The earth shook, the wind raged, and the surrounding palaces collapsed in an instant. Even Haiden, who was specially integrated with the guardian spirit, had greatly enhanced his power and was swept away by the sword of King Ming. Bankai's power of King Ming is enough to split the mountains with one slash. However, Haiden was extremely flexible and turned over in mid-air, attacking Sarutobi Hiruzen under Myo from a tricky angle. Boom! Boom! Sarutobi Hiruzen fights Haiden. One attack power is unparalleled, and one attack is flexible. In a short period of time, the battle situation was anxious. Groups of palaces were overwhelmed by the battle between the two, collapsed and destroyed. Cracks in the shape of black dragons continued to add to the earth. The other side, Kakuzu and Asuma have also gone to war. Asuma's short sword wrapped around wind-style chakra, extending into 2 sharp blue wind blades, quickly attacking Kakuzu. Kakuzu waved his fists and responded calmly. From time to time, a thin black line appeared from the body, extremely sharp, forcing Asuma to be in danger. It can be said that Kakuzu is a well-rounded ninja. Good at 5 escape ninjutsu, physical and illusion are also good, and the combat experience is very rich. There are no obvious weaknesses and no obvious strengths. Fire style. Ash accumulation burning. Asuma pulled back suddenly, his cheeks puffed out in a sharp squirt. A cloud of fiery red ashes rushed in, turned into a fiery flame, and exploded with a bang. Lightning style pseudo-dark. A white mask floated up behind Kakuzu, opened his mouth, and the thunder was shining brightly. A blazing thunderbolt blasted out, tore through the ashes of the explosion, and headed straight for Asuma. The lightning speed is extremely fast, and it does not give any chance of evasion at all. Asuma can only block with two swords horizontally. Although he was able to block this blow, his arms were also struck unconscious by lightning, and blood was flowing. Asuma looked at Kakuzu, his face ashen. This one in front of him is a real cage-level strength, and he is not an opponent at all. Kakuzu said lightly, the play ends here. Lightning style groaned and burrowed out of Kakuzu's body. Lightning style resented use magical aura all over his body, turning into a horned demon with a black body and a terrible bloody aura. It was Guy Oss Machina, one of the 4 Uranus of the Demon King's army who was taken over by Kakuzu. The lightning style who turned into a demon took a step forward, and the afterimage flashed and disappeared directly from Asuma's eyes. So fast! Asuma's pupils shrank sharply, and the sense of crisis in his heart instantly rose to ultimate. The demon appeared behind Asuma and raised his fist. Bang! Asuma was smashed to the ground with a punch, and he spat out a big mouthful of blood. All the internal organs were turned upside down at this moment. The demon raised his foot, ready to smash Asuma's head with one foot. Chi Yi, a dazzling beam of light shot over, knocking the demon out. Kakuzu turned to look. A girl with a golden ponytail holding a mysterious metal weapon. Next to her was a tall, slender beauty with long purple hair, holding a sakura-colored long knife in her hand. Seeing the blonde girl, Asuma breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, Ino. 99 You are welcome. Ino said, Tegu Pumpkin still aimed at the devil and kept pulling the trigger. The demon was pushed back by the energy bullets almost in a line. Uzuki Zian held the knife in front of her nose, and said softly, let's spread it out, Senbonzakura. Zanpakute's blade disintegrated into thousands of blades shaped like sakura flowers and slashed towards Kakuzu. Fire style. Head hard. Wind style. Crushing. 2 more grievances emerged from behind Kakuzu. The 2 Gyuyu joined forces to perform ninjutsu. The fire borrows the wind, and the wind helps the fire. The violent flames turned into a crimson giant wave, sweeping over, with the potential to burn everything. Boom, the flames burst, and the waves rolled. The vast area ahead has turned into a sea of purgatory fire. Bang! Bang! Haiden shuttles fast as a ghost. The blood-colored sickle kept leaving wounds on King Ming's body. Even third Hokage is still old after all. Haiden smiled evilly. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was gloomy and ugly, and he had the same wounds as Mio's. Even if he didn't want to admit it, his movements were indeed getting slower and slower, and cold sweat dripped from his forehead. His former strength was far more than that, but after all, he was still no match for time like a knife. In addition, he just took the medicine pill and just recovered from the injury. It's just that the battle has been so long that the stamina has already appeared. Moreover, Haiden discovered the weakness of King Ming and his body damage synchronization, and kept attacking King Ming. He is not the amazingly powerful guy from Komamura Seijin in Shinigami, and it would be very dangerous to continue fighting like this. Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth and had to lift Zanpakute's Bankai. Several Anbu rushed to protect Sarutobi Hiruzen. The rest of the others joined forces to lay siege to Haiden. However, at this moment Haiden has been transformed into a 030 Shinigami who harvests life. Every time the sickle is raised, a life is lost. Before long, the ground was covered with the bodies of Konoha shinobi. Haiden kept breaking through the line, heading straight for Sarutobi Hiruzen. Fox Mask Enbu clenched the long knife in his hand, stared at Haiden, gritted his teeth and said, "What an arrogant guy. Let you experience the swordsmanship of the pirate world." He didn't intend to use the spoon, after all, this is an indiscriminate range attack. Once you use it, you don't even know what you are attacking. But the enemy in front of him is too strong, and this is the only way for him to turn the situation around. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyelids twitched, and a bad premonition instinctively occurred in his heart. However, after listening to the Fox Mask Enbu said that it came from the swordsmanship in the comics, he began to comfort himself in his heart. Spoon. Fox Mask, Anbu's long sword is held flat, one step out in an instant, the figure of Anbu, the fox mask, suddenly disappeared. Immediately after, one after another, the cold and bone-piercing knife light lit up. Wherever the light of the sword reaches, there is nothing untouched. In the end, this field was shrouded in sword light. The light of the sword continued for a full minute, and the fox mask Anbu finally appeared, slowly returning the sword to its sheath, facing the battlefield behind him, and said indifferently, "Xiao, don't underestimate Konoha's will of fire." 35 Fox mask Anbu turned his head forcefully, and was instantly startled. A group of Konoha shinobi were all chopped down by his spoon, leaving Haiden alone. Haiden looked at him with a bewildered look on his face. "Myself, my own." Chapter 0149. Where are you from? Sarutobi Hiruzen glared at Anbu, the fox mask, and wanted to slash directly at him. The operation was as fierce as a tiger, and all the people lying there were their own people. Is this a pig teammate? This trademark is a pig. The will to return fire, I at number %. Fox mask Anbu _ the effect is a little worse. The scent is still pretty good. Haiden took the opportunity to rush to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and jumped up. Shillong breaks 9 days. 35 A burst of drink. The ground roared and roared. Countless rebel rushed to the sky and condensed into a ferocious stone dragon nearly 100 meters long. Shillong was entrenched in the void, his eyes were cold and fierce, exuding fierce power. This was originally Fomalhaut's spiritual skill. After the special fusion of Haiden and Shi Lingming, the master could mobilize the surrounding stone and soil for his own use. Haiden swung his scythe sharply. Shillong's long body swayed and swooped down sharply, with a terrifying momentum. Lightning Water Dragon Bomb. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly summoned a shadow clone and sealed it together. One casts the Water Dragon Bomb technique to summon a water dragon. One casts lightning style to fill the water dragon with lightning. In the blink of an eye, a water dragon wrapped in thunder and lightning roared, rushing towards Shillong from bottom to top. Boom, the two long dragons collided in anger, and a loud noise broke out. The majestic energy exploded. The rocks were like rain, the thunder and lightning were raging, and the wind was blowing violently, as if the sky was torn apart. Right at this moment, Haiden forcibly broke through and exploded, his eyes filled with enthusiasm. There was blood all over him. With the scythe in his hand, he still slashed at Sarutobi Hiruzen like Shinigami was taking his life. He was not afraid of getting hurt. Even if it is a fatal wound like cutting off the head, just sew it back. And as long as he gets the blood of the other party, he can perform the evil god ritual. Under the Thulhu ceremony, no matter what damage you receive, the damage can be applied to the opponent at the same time. As long as he attacks Sarutobi Hiruzen's body and gets a little blood, he can kill Third Hokage with the Thulhu ritual. If they can kill Third Hokage, the famous powerhouse in the ninja world, the evil god cult will definitely gain a great reputation. Old man. Asuma knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen was old and lost the strength of his youth, and immediately abandoned Kakuzu and ran here. However, Haiden's eyes squinted and he turned sharply. The sickle drew a half-moon-shaped blood-colored trajectory in the air. The knife was too fast and too sudden. Not even Asuma had any chance of reacting. Puff, the sickle slashed, Asuma's body stiffened. A head with an expression of disbelief floated up. Inside the comic shop, Shen Ye sat in the chair, drank the lipstick tea, watched everything that happened in the copy, and said lightly, Asuma still died in Haiden's hands just like the original. As the owner of the comic shop, he has the perspective of God in the copy. Whatever happened inside could not escape his gaze. By the way, can we draw a lottery? Shen Ye didn't care about the former's death and looked at the system panel. Host, Shen Ye Manga, One Punch Man Part 1, Fairy Tail Part 1, Assassin Wu Laihoki, Shinigami Soul Society, Do Soul Part 1 L Extraction, Receive 10 customers can extract a comic book, received, 16/10 people, can extract, one-time task, accumulate 100 customers, get a mysterious reward, received, 103/100 people you can draw new comics again, and the mysterious rewards have also met the conditions 9 Shen Ye said, System, extract comics. Start extracting, extracted comics, Attack on Titan, Upper Part Attack on Titan, Part, more than 100 years ago, the natural enemy of mankind suddenly appeared in the world, the giant. The human beings who survived the crisis fled together, built 3 city walls that could stop the giants, and enjoyed more than 100 years of peace in an environment isolated from the outside world. And that peace was broken when Alan Yeager was 10 years old. The 60-meter supergiant suddenly appeared, destroyed the city gate with overwhelming force and disappeared, and ferocious giants rushed into the wall in groups to prey on humans. On that day, mankind finally recalled the horror of being dominated by giants. Attack on Titan. Shen Ye looked at the system information, his eyes lighted slightly. Attack on Titan tells a bloody worldview. At first people thought that giants were cannibals. However, with the constant exposure to the truth, one after another has been revealed secrets that have been erased. To know that the so-called truth is far from simple. Those giants who were thought to be man-eating monsters turned out to be their own kind. Sadness, suspense, truth, reversal. Comics are full of oppression and confrontation, the strong collision of hope and despair, and the thinking from the bottom of my heart. Shen Ye said, System, draw mysterious rewards. Extracting, draw a mysterious reward, branch card, coordinates, country of Taki, Shiluo Town, branch card, coordinates, Taki country, Shiluo Town. Using the branch card, you can open a branch at the specified coordinates once, from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. After the time is over, you can choose an upgraded version of the same reward among all customers as yours. Upgraded version rewards, no matter what the original reward is, it will be one level higher. Is it still a branch card this time? Shen Ye muttered to himself. The branch card is still very good, and you can get upgraded rewards. The last storm fruit ability was more than 1 grade stronger than the ordinary Logia fruit ability. At this time, another customer came in. Inyazuka Claw and Inyazuka Flower, Inyazuka Tooth, and Hyuga Hayashi with a depressed face. Hyuga Hayashi wanted to cry without tears. It's fine if the two daughters don't bring their own team to brush the dungeon. Also be called by Inyazuka-pa, please read the manga. What? Do African Emirates have no human rights? Inyazuka Claw hummed, I just asked you to invite me to read the comics once, it's already very cheap for you. You were almost yesterday. If my mother is not chaste, I will never finish with you. She almost couldn't help detoxing with Hyuga Hayashi yesterday. Fortunately, Inyazuka Maki was finally found. Inyazuka Maki, who had just finished the mission, was dragged into the depths of the woods by her as soon as she met before returning to the village, or Zhao. The other ninjas around were stunned. Hyuga Hayashi could only remain silent. Walking into the manga store, Hyuga Hayashi asked, Boss, how much are the 4 of us? 1 for the 4th time, 1 for the 3rd time, and 2 for the 2nd time, for a total of 70,000 taels. 55 Shen Ye said. Hyuga Hayashi is quite meaty and puts the money at the cash register. Inyazuka looked at the only 3 books left on the bookshelf, the first one picked up Inuyasha, Part 1, and said excitedly, Inuyasha? Is this a story about dogs? Hey, I'll just watch this. Ben's Spoon. Inyazuka Hana looked at the cover of the newly drawn Attack on Titan, Part 1, a steaming giant emerged from the city wall, and asked curiously, is this a giant? I've seen this. The siblings took away the comics one after another. On the bookshelf, there is only 1 copy of Fenjiun, Part 1. Hyuga Hayashi and Inyazuka Paz looked at each other and suddenly reached out, grabbing the manga at the same time. Chapter 0150. Hyuga Hayashi and Inyazukazuo were holding the manga together, and neither of them wanted to let go. Inyazukazuo said angrily, Hayashi, what do you want to do? Hyuga Hayashi said, you. When Inyazuka Tooth and Inyazuka Hana, who were reading the comics, heard the words, they turned their eyes together. Inyazukazuo blushed instantly, gritted his teeth and said, after you think about it, talk about it. Only then did Hyuga Hayashi realize there was an ambiguity in what he said just now, coughed awkwardly, and said, I mean, if you want to read a book with Hua or Tooth, give this to me. Inyazuka snorted, I'll just read this. 35 Hyuga Hayashi said, how about we rock paper scissors? Inyazuka Claw, A++ do you want a B face? It's amazing to have a blank eye, isn't it? Neither of the two would give in, and in the end they simply watched together. Shoshomaru is so handsome. Inyazuka Claw is holding Inuyasha comics, and every time he sees the plot of Sesshomaru, his heart is surging. As soon as Sesshomaru appeared, it was a cold and powerful character. No matter how strong the enemy is, it can be calm and strong. I can see his soul in the middle of the 2nd year burning. Is this the giant? Are there such monsters outside the walls? Inuzuka Hana was shocked by the scene where the super giant appeared on the wall at the beginning of the manga. Those eyes looked down from the outside of the wall, full of indifference, as if the humans inside the wall were all ants. The city gate was kicked open by an oversized giant. Countless grotesque giants, with expressions like Muna or sly smiles, poured into the wall. The people inside the wall were crying, roaring, desperate. But in the end, he could not escape the fate of being swallowed by giants. Until this moment, people finally remembered the horror of being dominated by giants. Even if Inuzuka Hana just read the manga, she could feel the pressure from the bottom of her heart. There is no ninjutsu in that world. Human beings are so powerless in the face of giants. Time goes by. 5 years later, the supergiant reappeared. The protagonist Alan and others also grew up. Giants are still terrifying, but they are no longer defenseless. Alan rushed to the front with a passion, but he was eventually eaten by the giant. However, an astonishing reversal occurred next. The eaten Alan appears and becomes a giant. The high-level human made a decision to use Alan's giant power to block the broken city wall. As a result, for the first time in human history, a territorial recapture war was launched against the giants. For hundreds of years, human beings have only failed, and today, people are finally taking this historic step. This is the first hope born out of despair. This moment, Inuzuka Hana's heart was burning like never before, and even tears welled up in her eyes. When all customers are immersed in comics, one person closed the Shinigami manga and let out a suffocating breath. Finally finished at the same time, system information refresh. Customer Katsugo Higashino has finished reading Shinigami Soul Society and obtained Eizensuk, captain of the 5th Division of the Godei 13th Division, holding Zanpakut Kaika Suijutsu. The wisdom is extremely high and the strength is extremely strong, but it also feels lonely because of this. Create an incomplete Hagyaku in search of power beyond Shinigami's limits, and discover the true role of Hagyaku. This reward is when Aizen has not defected. In addition, after system modification, Aizen can convert Ryutsu and Chakra in the body, and can also be seen by the naked eye. You actually won Aizen. Shen Ye looked at the Chunin and didn't know if he was lucky or not. Aizen is the first big boss of Shinigami. It is also a generational king of the two-dimensional world. Because the talent is too high, no one can truly stand on the same level as himself and be alone. So Hagyaku's plan to convert Shinigami such as Hirako Shinji into Arankar began hundreds of years ago. Using Hagyaku again, he personally directed the experiences of Kurosaki Ichigo and others. Mutiny during the execution of Rukia Kukaki, take Ichimaru-jin and Tosen Kaname to Hueco Mundo. Created the Night Palace, created Espada, and many Arankars. He had always known that Ichimaru-jin had murderous intentions towards him, but kept him by his side because he was curious about how Ichimaru-jin would kill him. Even in the final battle, it seems that Aizen was defeated. But only, BFFG, Ichigo who fought Aizen understood the loneliness on Aizen's knife. It was Aizen who gave up on Hagyaku, no longer longed for power, but wanted to be a regular Shinigami. He even dared to despise the Spirit King, the supreme being who rules the Soul Society, let alone reward Ichnin. Buzz one by one a dazzling light descended. Interweaving light, a slender figure slowly emerged. Seeing that there was actually a figure in the light, the Chunin said expectantly, "Is it the beauty of Shinigami? Hehe, then I can make a lot of money." 35. The light fades, a refined man in a black kimono appeared. The white Captain Hayori is a 5 character. Zanpakut is pinned to the waist. There was a deep light of wisdom in the eyes under the man's glasses. Although the smile on his face is very friendly, it also reveals a kind of detachment above all things. He looked at the world around him. There are shocks, but more are curious and interesting. Blue, Aizen. Chunin, who was still looking forward to which Shinigami beauty it was so frightened that he was speechless. Just after reading the Shinigami manga, he is naturally very aware of Aizen's strength. This is a ruthless man who can instantly kill Komamura Seijin, a captain-level figure, with a had. Don't call him a Chunin. Even the cage level was hanged to death. Trademark. Aizen is a reward, who can stand it? Inuzuka, who was reading the comics, saw Aizen and said sluggishly for a moment, "This is Aizen? He was actually summoned?" 39. Inuzuka was shocked in his heart. He has read the Shinigami manga and of course knows Aizen. However, he couldn't think of anything. Aizen, the big Shinigami boss, will be summoned to this world. Oh. Aizen turned his head to look at Inyazuki, his eyes narrowed slightly behind his glasses, and a smile that seemed harmless to humans and animals hung on his face. Young man, you know me? Seeing Aizen's gaze turned, Inyazuki's body exploded in an instant. The heart seemed to be squeezed so hard by a hand that it almost suffocated. Although he admires Aizen's forceful style when he reads comics. But when he really faced Aizen, that kind of aura that seemed to be calm but dominated everything was just too terrifying. Tell me. Aizen smiled and walked forward. He understood right away that he had come to a strange world. There is no Ryutsu here, replaced by another mysterious energy. He can convert these two energies. Also, ordinary people in this world shouldn't see him as Shinigami, but now he doesn't. All of these indicate that this is not the world that he originally lived in. But it was this answer that shocked him even more. Where is the world that is not your own? How did you come to this world? Who did it? At this moment, there were too many questions in his mind, making him eager to know the answer. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.